Chapter 1300. As soon as Lu Chongqing entered the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, an intense wave of spiritual energy surged toward him, almost thick enough to liquefy, refreshing his mind and spirit. However, apart from the abundant spiritual energy, this cave heaven realm didn't appear exceptionally unique. Gray and hazy skies reminiscent of the Mount Sumeru cave heaven. A grand temple stood erect ahead. Constructed entirely of golden iron and white jade, it emanated a crystalline brilliance, ancient yet imposing. But the pervasive silence inspired a profound sense of desolation. Holding Chu Qingyi in his arms, Lu Chongqing casually surveyed the surroundings of the cave heaven. His expression remained serene as he coolly said, "Senior, since you summoned me, why not show yourself?" As his words echoed, the dense spiritual energy mist before him began to stir, and a faint, nearly imperceptible figure gradually materialized. Lu Changsheng's gaze sharpened upon seeing the figure. His heart skipping a beat, his vigilance heightened. The figure's appearance bore a striking resemblance to the red-haired figure seen outside. A jade crown atop its head, adorned in a flowing white robe embroidered with Qilin motifs. Yet, unlike the menacing red hair, this person exuded a gentle aura, with refined features like those of a scholar swordsman lamenting the hardships of life. Remarkable youth. Truly awe-inspiring. I never thought I'd encounter someone like you in my lifetime, the remnant soul spoke, its melancholy eyes fixed on Lu Chongqing, a deep sense of nostalgia resonating in its tone. Even as merely a fragment of a soul, it could not fully discern Lu Chongqing. Nonetheless, through the subtle resonance of the Tianyuan treasure lotus, it had observed parts of Lu Changsheng's essence during his battle with Nangong Meili. I wonder why Senior summoned me here? Without lowering his guard, Lu Chongqing addressed the remnant soul in a measured tone. Despite mentions of inheritance and opportunities, he did not believe in such fortuitous gifts falling from the heavens. He was certain the soul had an ulterior motive for calling him. Rest assured, I bear no malice. Furthermore, after countless years, my primordial spirit's origin source has already withered and depleted. What remains now is but a fragment of my persistence tethered to the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. I possess no capability for body snatching. The remnant soul, noticing Lu Changsheng's strong wary stance, calmly explained. Senior overstates, Lu Chongqing replied dryly. Though the soul's words might be genuine, Lu Chongqing did not lower his guard. Compared to the dread-inducing Hong Lian of years past, this soul was far more ethereal, but the pressure it exerted was not weaker. In fact, it surpassed Hong Lian. Facing such an existence, caution was indispensable. Seeing that Lu Chongqing remained wary, the remnant soul appeared unperturbed, continuing, You were summoned here, firstly because of fate. My primordial spirit's essence is exhausted, and the ability to communicate with you depends on the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus within your body. Additionally, you've cultivated the Sun-Moon Samsara technique, proving that fate connects us. Thus, I hope you will inherit my teachings. S.E.A. The Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The remnant soul elaborated. Senior, I already possess a profound inheritance, making it impossible for me to take on another, Lu Chongqing responded. However, I can seek suitable successors on your behalf to ensure your legacy does not fall into obscurity. Glancing at the pale, lifeless face of Chu Qingyi in his embrace, whose breathing was chaotic and faint, Lu Chongqing added solemnly. As he spoke, his Qi Ocean Core and Great Tao Golden Core radiated dazzling hues, sending forth an astonishing surge of yin-yang magic power. Boom! 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 This magical aura enveloped Lu Chongqing, forming a yin-yang Taoist chart that seemed to depict the harmony of heavens and earth, accompanied by faint echoes of the Great Tao. This, the remnant soul, gazing at the yin-yang Taoist chart above Lu Changsheng's head, revealed a rare expression of shock amid its tranquil demeanor. Even as merely a fragment of a soul, it could sense the profound and boundless mysteries of the Great Tao flowing through this Taoist chart. Remarkable youth. Truly awe-inspiring. To think you possess such a cultivation inheritance, I have overstepped my boundaries. The remnant soul's face softened into a contemplative expression. Though its own cultivation legacy was extraordinary, it recognized that someone like Lu Chongqing would disdain its teachings. If that is the case, then as you've suggested, kindly assist me in finding a successor. The remnant soul finally said. Its hand lightly raised, and a pristine jade slip appeared out of thin air, floating before Lu Chongqing. This contains all of my cultivation techniques and teachings. If it interests you, you are welcome to study and cultivate them as well. To the remnant soul, Lu Chongxing, having cultivated the yin-yang creation scripture, a top-tier cultivation technique, would not covet its legacy. Furthermore, its teachings were intricate and abstruse, beyond the comprehension of average cultivators, so it didn't mind if Lu Chongxing learned them. No need to worry, senior, Lu Chongxing reassured, golden light shimmering in his eyes as he cautiously accepted the jade slip. He hadn't expected the soul to hand over its inheritance so straightforwardly. Carefully, he inspected the jade slip. Tianyuan scripture, Tianyuan sword art, Nirvana golden body. The slip detailed numerous techniques, with the Tianyuan scripture evidently being the compilation of his core teachings. Beyond foundational practices, there were many spells, secret arts, and cultivation insights. While the Tianyuan sword art shared part of its name with the Tianyuan scripture, it was not a paired technique, clearly an independent creation of the Tianyuan true monarch. Before Lu Chongxing could delve deeper, the remnant soul gazed at him and resumed speaking. Calling you here, the second reason is to make a request. Its typically calm voice now carried slight tremors, steeped in profound melancholy and time-worn anguish. A request? Lu Chongxing frowned upon hearing this. If an existence of such caliber uttered the word request, it inevitably indicated a matter of significance. Yet, glancing again at the woeful Chu Qingyi cradled in his arms, Lu Chongxing composed himself and seriously answered, Please speak, senior. If it's within my power, I will attempt my utmost to fulfill it, but I cannot promise success. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1301. Having your answer is enough. After all, I was merely holding on to a sliver of hope regarding this matter. The remnant soul's gaze was sorrowful as it sighed, saying, I hope that within your lifetime, you can find a sword. Find a sword. Ia the Oval Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Chongxing furrowed his brows slightly, feeling that this request was somewhat puzzling. The remnant soul did not explain, instead asking, Do you know about the innate sword spiritual body? I've never heard of it. Lu Chongxing shook his head. The myriad spiritual constitutions found in the cultivation world were too numerous to count, so much so that even a nascent soul true lord wouldn't dare claim to know them all. The innate sword spiritual body is an extraordinarily rare constitution. It not only allows one to refine their physical body and soul into swords but also enables the refinement of all things under heaven into swords. Once this spiritual body achieves great success, it can even transform into an innate sword spirit. As the remnant soul reached this point, its voice grew heavier. My daughter possessed the innate sword spiritual body. Years ago, when I attempted to break through to the divinity transformation realm, I was struck by the triadic tribulation of heaven, earth, and man. Not only did I fail to break through, ending in my demise and the collapse of my Tao, but I also brought disaster upon my wife and daughter. Among the calamities, there were those who came from my daughter's innate sword spiritual body, aiming to turn her into a sword spirit to forge a heavenly spirit treasure. The remnant soul's voice carried profound sorrow, shadowed by a potent killing intent. In his era, he had dominated the southern wilderness and was lauded as someone with the potential for divinity transformation. Everyone believed he had a great chance to succeed in breaking through. But when attempting the breakthrough, not only did he perish and lose his Tao, but his actions also brought disaster upon his wife and daughter. His wife was slain in battle, and his daughter even faced the horrifying possibility of being transformed into a sword. Turn her into a sword spirit to forge a heavenly spirit treasure. Lu Chongxing's heart skipped a beat. While spiritual constitutions brought immense benefits to cultivation, they also easily attracted trouble. Just as his own daughter, Lu Wangshu, possessed the blood talisman spiritual body. In her early years, when she ventured beyond, she was spotted by a demon cultivator who sought to sacrifice her into a talisman. So as a father, he could fully understand the other party's fury. Lu Chongxing pondered for a moment and said, Senior, I am only in the golden core stage now, far from qualified to even touch upon that level. In the future. Before he could finish his words, the remnant soul cut him off. I understand. This request was merely my lingering hope. An obsession. I simply hope that in the future, if you have the ability, you might attempt to seek it. If you find this sword, rescue my daughter. If not, you need not hold yourself to this. The remnant soul sighed faintly. He knew it had been thousands of years since his demise, that the outside world had long become unrecognizable. Looking for a sword was as improbable as a fantasy. What's more, it was uncertain if his daughter hadn't already been forged into a heavenly spirit treasure. Very well. If such a day ever comes, I, Lu Chongqing, pledge to find the sword you spoke of, senior, and rescue your daughter. Lu Chongqing solemnly pledged. After finishing, he asked, does this sword have a name? If the sword still exists in this world, its name might be Tianyu. Seeing Lu Changsheng's sincere words and proactive inquiry, the remnant soul appeared somewhat gratified as it spoke. I, Shen Tianyuan, have never owed anyone nor allowed promises made to me to be futile. Young friend, do you wish to save this woman? The Tianyuan true monarch looked at Chu Qingyi and spoke directly. He did not demand that Lu Chongqing swear a Dao heart oath or anything similar. From his perspective, Lu Chongqing, with his extraordinary talent and unparalleled inheritance, was someone of immense pride and integrity. Having agreed, it was impossible for him to renege. Moreover, for someone destined to become a top-tier cultivator, potentially ascending to nascent soul transcendent in the future, insincere promises would leave cracks in his mental state. That's correct. May I ask what method Senior proposes? Lu Chongqing asked immediately. This woman has shattered meridians and broken bones. Her true elixir is damaged, and saving her is no easy task. However, since you cultivate the Sun-Moon Samsara technique, I possess a secret method that will allow you to use the Sun-Moon Samsara technique to extend her life. The Tianyuan true monarch glanced at Chu Qingyi, who was in Lu Changsheng's arms, and spoke as such. The Sun-Moon Samsara technique? Hearing this, Lu Chongqing froze. Damn it, is that your so-called solution? If it's through that method, why would I, Lu someone, even bother asking for help? With the Yin-Yang Nirvana technique, life transference technique, and the healing divine light of the 9 treasures Rui Bone, as long as there's a sliver of breath left, I could save her myself. But upon hearing the Tianyuan true monarch mention that Chu Qingji's true elixir was damaged, Lu Changsheng's heart tightened. He quickly examined Chu Qingji's condition with his divine sense. Immediately, he saw her Qi ocean core within the fractured Dao foundation. On top of it, a true elixir emanating faint traces of golden core charm was dim and lifeless, with several cracks running through it, causing her origin source to dissipate. Earlier, due to the urgency of the situation, he hadn't noticed that Chu Qingji's condition was so critical. Wouldn't this mean that even if Chu Qingyi were revived, she'd still face the issue of her damaged Dao foundation, making future progress impossible? No! At this moment, Chu Qingyi, lying in Lu Changsheng's arms, suddenly grew agitated. Despite her barely audible breath, she struggled to speak. Absolutely not. I'd rather die. Cough, cough, cough. Yet before she could finish her sentence, she coughed up blood violently. She had nearly been unconscious before. But having arrived at the Tianyuan lotus, enveloped by the dense spiritual energy of heaven and earth and nourished by Lu Changsheng's mana, she gradually regained a sliver of consciousness. And as soon as she awoke, she overheard the mention of using the Sun-Moon Samsara technique for healing. She was naturally aware of this cultivation technique. She and her master, Yun Wanshang, had discovered this technique together in the past, knowing full well it was a dual cultivation technique. The thought of letting a stranger use such a method to save her was utterly unacceptable. Yet in her heart, she wondered, who exactly was Lu Chongqing? Why was he so determined to save her? From the moment Lu Chongqing first saved her, the mana he had displayed felt vaguely familiar to her. It was definitely not the same mana currently nourishing her body. Senior, is this truly the only way? Is there no method to restore her foundation? Ignoring Chu Qingji's refusal, Lu Chongqing patted her soft back lightly and turned to the Tianyuan true monarch to ask. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1302. If there were only this method, he wouldn't need to ask the other party for help. He could save her himself. Though the process might be somewhat improper and taint someone's innocence. But after all, she was Xiao Xia's senior sister and Yun Wanshang's disciple. Could he truly stand by and do nothing? Ha! Why was he suddenly thinking about these two connections? Why did that make it even more exciting? Sir the novel, F. Iyer. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. No. This was simply the compassion of a healer. Seeing a patient in such critical condition, his emotions were naturally stirred. He's quite the gentleman. Chu Qingyi, lying weakly in Lu Changsheng's arms, heard these words. Her eyes quivered, and her long thick eyelashes, like small fans, fluttered gently. At this moment, she was so weak that she couldn't even move a single finger. If Lu Changsheng really wanted to save her through this method, she wouldn't have any means to resist. If young friend wishes to restore her foundation, this old man does have a method, but it is exceedingly dangerous, Tianyuan True Monarch said after a slight deliberation. Senior, please do share. Lu Chongqing thought to himself, as expected of a nascent soul true lord. His knowledge and methods were indeed extraordinary. Young friend has condensed a first-grade golden core, hasn't he? Tianyuan True Monarch's gaze scrutinized Lu Chongqing as he asked. Indeed. Lu Chongqing nodded in affirmation, not bothering to explain about the Great Tao Golden Core. A first-grade golden core? Hearing this exchange, Chu Qingyi, whose consciousness was already blurred, was shocked. Core formation was divided into 9 grades. More than 90% of cultivators could only dream of forming a high-quality golden core. But a first-grade golden core. It was the pinnacle achievement of core formation. Even in the Jiang country cultivation realm, and even in the entire southern wilderness cultivation realm, such cases were as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. And yet, the Lu Chongqing before her had actually condensed a first-grade golden core. In this moment, Chu Qingyi grew even more curious about who Lu Chongqing truly was. Why did he care so much about saving her? How did he also master the Sun-Moon Samsara technique? Since young friend possesses a first-grade golden core, then this method becomes somewhat more feasible. Tianyuan True Monarch nodded slightly and said, Now, this old man has little time left. Beyond the inheritance of my cultivation technique, I have one final gift for you, young friend. This Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus. This lotus previously housed my second nascent soul. When I attempted to break through to divinity transformation, it was baptized by the origin source of divinity transformation, and it was just one step away from advancing to the heavenly Yuan Dao Lotus. This is precisely why this remnant soul of mine has lasted until today. Now that the nascent soul has dissipated, a trace of the nascent soul's origin source remains. I can transfer it to young friend as a means of empowerment and refinement. In the process, you can use the elixir conversion secret technique to dissolve this woman's true elixir and use it to repair her Bodhis meridians. Then, through the Sun-Moon Samsara technique, you can help her form a core anew. If successful, not only will her meridian injuries fully recover, but her cultivation could also achieve a breakthrough, and she could condense a golden core. Tianyuan True Monarch's voice was calm and unhurried as he explained. The elixir conversion secret technique? Lu Chongqing, of course, understood such a technique. Some false core immortals or cultivators with low-grade mixed cores, who encountered great fortune and had sufficient confidence in surviving, could use such secret techniques to break and rebuild their core. However, the better the quality of the core, the higher the risk. For example, dissolving the inner core of a false core immortal carried a mortality rate of 30 to 50%. But attempting to dissolve a low-quality core could raise that mortality rate to 70 or 80%. And for someone like Chu Qingyi, who had reached half-step golden core, attempting such a technique would undoubtedly be a near-death experience. What's more, in her current state, she was already clinging to life by a thin thread. Her core might not even fully dissolve before she succumbed to death. Seeing Lu Changsheng's hesitation, Tianyuan True Monarch shook his head slightly and said, Breaking before remaking, destruction before rebirth. Given this woman's condition, the two choices are as described earlier. Use the Sun-Moon Samsara technique to maintain her vitality, or break and rebuild. With this old man's nascent soul origin, along with spiritual medicines from the medicine garden, and young friend's assistance with the first-grade golden core, there's about a 30% chance. Tianyuan True Monarch explained in such terms. After speaking, he fell silent, giving Lu Chongqing time to think. Fairy Qingyi, you have surely heard this senior's words? After a moment of contemplation, Lu Chongqing looked down at the Chu Qingyi in his arms, letting her decide for herself. Thank you, Taoist, but there's no need to save me. Chu Qingyi's pale, bloodless lips moved faintly as she spoke, her voice weak and waning. No. You must choose one of the two options. If you don't decide, I'll decide for you. Lu Chongqing said firmly, his tone leaving no room for argument. No, cough cough cough. Chu Qingyi wanted to refuse again, but she was too frail to speak. Her life was entirely sustained by Lu Changsheng's mana. I understand that the fairy would rather die than have her body tarnished. But I, Lu Chongqing, have fallen for the fairy at first sight and cannot bear to watch you perish. Lu Chongqing sighed, his voice heavy. Hearing Lu Changsheng's words, Chu Qingji's pallor was tinged with a faint flush. So, he was saving her because he had fallen for her. Since that's the case, I, Lu Chongqing, will choose the second method on the fairy's behalf and leave the rest to fate. If it fails, the fairy need not worry. If it succeeds, I, Lu Chongqing, will bear responsibility. If the fairy is willing, I will go to Qing Yun's sect to formally propose marriage to Kai Yun True Immortal. Lu Chongqing took a deep breath and continued. Tianyuan True Monarch mentioned a 30% chance. In Lu Changsheng's estimation, the odds should be slightly higher. If all else failed, he could at least stabilize Chu Qingji's fragile vitality with his advanced medical skills, buying time to think of other solutions. Having made up his mind, he didn't wait for Chu Qingyi to respond but turned toward Tianyuan True Monarch and said, Senior, let's proceed with your method. All right, Senior, the red-haired creature from earlier was pursuing us and is heading this way. Will it have any impact? Furthermore, the secret realm is collapsing. If it completely crumbles, will that affect us? At this moment, Lu Chongqing thought of the situation outside and voiced his concern. Chu Qingji's condition was critical. If they could treat her here within the cave heaven, that would be ideal. But if the collapse of the secret realm would interfere, things would become exceedingly troublesome. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1303. The corpse covered in red hair outside is my physical body. It will not affect the Tianyuan lotus. So spoke the Tianyuan True Monarch. As expected. Upon hearing these words, Lu Chongqing muttered to himself that his suspicions were correct. He had seen remnants of the Tianyuan True Monarch's soul earlier and suspected they were connected to the red-haired figure outside. He even suspected that the other party had intentionally used the red-haired corpse to lure him here. As if perceiving Lu Changsheng's thoughts, the Tianyuan True Monarch's eyes flickered faintly with sorrow, and he sighed. I suppose, little friend, you are curious as to why this secret realm has taken such a shape? Years ago, after I failed to achieve divinity transformation, I managed to escape with my second nascent soul and stumbled upon this secret realm. But my injuries were too severe, and though I attempted body snatching and restart cultivation, I could no longer attain my peak. So I plotted to place myself in deadly peril for rebirth. Through a secret technique, I transformed myself into a corpse demon, fueled by the obsession in my heart for revenge. The method, however, was perilous. Fearing my vengeance, my enemies used my daughter's bloodline as a medium to place a curse upon me. Ultimately, my cultivation failed. My being became tainted by misfortune, and I ran rampant within the secret realm, slaughtering indiscriminately. It was only through the inheritance steel of the Howran sect that I managed, barely, to suppress the misfortune. The vengeful spirits and ghost cultivators you've encountered earlier are the people I killed back then, and their spirits were sealed alongside me beneath the steel. The Tianyuan True Monarch finished his explanation with a heavy sigh. The individuals within this secret realm, though considered his retainers, had suffered calamity due to him and were nearly entirely annihilated. Transformed into a corpse demon, a bloodline curse. After hearing this, Lu Chongqing narrowed his eyes. Inwardly, he mused that nascent soul true lords truly possessed an arsenal of techniques. Not a single one of them seemed straightforward. Yet this matter of bloodline curses intrigued Lu Chongqing, making him more vigilant. Indeed, given his current circumstances, if someone intended to use divine techniques involving bloodline curses against him, it would be remarkably easy. The vast cultivation world is filled with treasures, secret techniques, and divine skills. Defenses against such methods are never foolproof. One must exercise caution. Lu Chongqing let out a quiet sigh in his heart and said, Senior, if the secret realm collapses, will it affect the Tianyuan lotus? It will. The Tianyuan True Monarch replied directly. The secret realm is now depleted, interfered with by external forces. and has lost the stabilizing support of the steel. In just a few days, it will completely disintegrate, scattering into infinite spatial fragments that will drift through the great void. Even if you are within the Tianyuan lotus, you will be affected. However, I will make a full effort shortly, expending some of my origin source to send the Tianyuan lotus out. But as for the specifics, I cannot guarantee. It will depend entirely on yourself. So declared the Tianyuan true monarch. Very well, since that's the case, I shall trouble you, senior. Without further hesitation, Lu Chongqing responded immediately. Given the current predicament, he could no longer afford to delay. On one hand, Chu Qingjia's condition could not wait. On the other hand, the heaven and earth net outside might escalate into a nascent soul battle, making his escape exceedingly difficult. Since little friend is ready, I shall begin. Within the Tianyuan lotus are some heavenly and earthly treasures I left behind in years past. Feel free to take them. As for my physical body, once the secret realm collapses, it will naturally be cast into the great void. Moreover, outside the secret realm are 3 nascent soul cultivators. I suspect suppressing my depleted physical body will pose no challenge for them. Having spoken, the Tianyuan true monarch let out a carefree laugh, his sorrow-filled eyes seeming to exude a faint sense of release. Thousands of years of existence for him had been nothing short of torment. He endured it wholly due to a single lingering obsession. Rest assured, senior, Lu will surely find a suitable inheritor for your legacy. Once capable, I will also seek out information about your daughter and rescue her. Holding Chu Qingyi in his arms, Lu Chongqing spoke with a solemn expression. This promise was not solely motivated by the benefits offered by the other party. It also stemmed from him, as a father himself, witnessing the others enduring thousands of years for his daughter's sake. Very well. The Tianyuan true monarch revealed a gratified smile and gently lifted his palm. Beams of light burst forth, transforming into a dense sphere of 5-colored radiance that enveloped Lu Chongqing and Chu Qingyi. At the same time, the thick and pure spiritual energy within the cave heaven surged toward Lu Chongqing like water, forming a vortex of spiritual energy around him. From the distant medicine fields, crystalline and fragrant spiritual medicine plants, glowing with radiant luminescence, soared toward him. These spiritual medicines, cultivated by the Tianyuan true monarch himself, were all exceptionally rare and precious, of immense value. To meet a friend like you after death and see such a pleasing development might be considered a stroke of fortune. After completing his efforts, the Tianyuan true monarch let out a hearty laugh, his faint and blurry silhouette dispersing like scattered sand, dissolving into countless specks of light. Boom! The entire cave heaven quaked violently, as though undergoing massive tremors. In that instant, Lu Chongqing seemed to share a mysterious connection with the Tianyuan lotus, sensing that the Tianyuan true monarch had ordered it to break through the great void and head toward the outside world. As for where it would go, Lu Chongqing didn't know, nor did he have the time to ponder. The origin source of the Tianyuan true monarch's nascent soul surged into his body, akin to the collapse of a vast ocean, flowing toward every corner of his being, almost causing his physique to rupture. This power was overwhelming. Even though it was merely a portion of the nascent soul's origin source, it was far beyond what an ordinary cultivator could withstand. Fortunately, Lu Chongqing practiced magical dual cultivation. Not only had he condensed the great Tao golden core, but he also possessed the physical refinement ability of the third-order middle stage. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to endure this torrent of power within his body. Fairy Qingyi. Lu Chongqing looked toward Chu Qingyi, who lay in his arms, and gently placed her on the ground, intending to mend her tattered palace gown. Who are you? Chu Qingji's beautiful eyes remained tightly shut, her exquisitely chiseled face deathly pale, with streaks of blood at the corners of her lips, a sight of poignant tragedy and beauty, reminiscent of a female sword immortal drifting down from the heavens. She knew she could not resist Lu Chongqing's actions now. Ia the Defier. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1304. Even if the other party uses some means, I might not refuse. But she wants to know who Lu Chongqing really is. Why does the other party have a bit of familiarity about him, willing to take such a big risk to save her, and also knows the Sun-Moon Samsara technique? Lu Chongxing of By Lake Mountain once took the alias Han Li, met Fairy Qingyi on the Green Cloud spirit ship, and fell in love at first sight. Lu Chongxing stopped his palm. With a calm expression on his face, he said. Although Mr. Lu is amorous, he has always been unchanging in name and surname. Even if he sacrifices his own purity to save someone, he is willing to take responsibility. As for the issue of identity, after the secret realm ends, if he and Chu Qingyi return safely, they will definitely attract the attention of others. So Lu Chongxing has thought it through. After returning, he will go to the Qing Yun sect to propose to Kai Yun True Immortal and confess the situation of his cultivation level. Disciples' life and purity. This woman should be able to distinguish between light and heavy. No matter what the result is, Yun Wanshang is a nascent soul immortal of the Qing Yun sect, the enforcement hallmaster, with dual core formation. As long as she is willing to step forward, she can easily brush over this matter with any excuse. Furthermore, since Chu Qingyi is a nascent soul immortal of the Qing Yun sect, as long as she doesn't reveal her own situation, it shouldn't be a big problem. By Lake Mountain, Lu Chongxing. Chu Qingyi's heart skipped a beat when she heard this. She naturally knows this name. First, Lu Chongxing has quite a reputation under Qingyi's rule. Second, she once asked her junior sister Xiaofan about Han Li, but her junior sister casually brushed it off. After investigating, she found out that her junior sister doesn't have many friends, but there was one named Lu Chongxing. Later she learned that her junior sister was getting closer to this Lu Chongxing, and there were even rumors. She never expected that Lu Chongxing was the loose cultivator Han Li who once saved her. No wonder junior sister was so vague back then. Chu Qingyi remembered that she was once detoxified by Lu Chongxing when their skins touched, and now she's going to... No! She felt Lu Chongxing reaching out to remove her skirt, her pale face flushed as she wanted to protest. But before she could finish speaking, Lu Chongxing bent down and kissed her lips, blocking her words. Upon kissing her, Lu Chongxing immediately activated the life transference technique, nourishing her with his own abundant vitality. Just as Tian Yuan True Monarch dissipated, he had already told him the key points of this method. The main thing is that Chu Qingyi's vitality must be maintained, then successfully form a core formation. Whether forming a core or core formation, it's extremely perilous. Even though Chu Qingyi possesses a nascent soul origin and heavenly spirit medicine, it is very dangerous. Chu Qingyi felt a rich male scent enter her nose and mouth. This scent wasn't pungent, rather it was quite pleasant, smelling very comfortable. Possibly mixed with blood in the mouth, there was even some sweetness. However, she clearly felt a warm current containing abundant vitality entering her mouth, reaching her limbs, leaving her mind mixed with emotions. This was consuming his origin to heal her wounds. Except for her master. No one else had ever done this for her. Giving without expecting a return. She wanted to say something, but now not only was she weak, her soft and slender tongue was wrapped entirely by Lu Chongxing, leaving her to only make muffled whimpering sounds. Lu Chongxing heard these whimpering sounds like a small beast, thinking of her during the core formation ceremony at Qing Yun sect, wearing a blue cloud-patterned robe, bearing a deep blue long sword, walking on Rainbow Bridge, being revered by all, the unparalleled celestial beauty. He couldn't help but feel a bit accomplished in his heart. After all, pressing such a lofty fairy under his body and tasting her at will is a desire in every man's heart. Even after decades, Lu ancestor's heart remains pure and unblemished. Chu Qingyi was gravely injured, but her body still emitted a faint fragrance, seemingly teasing Lu Changsheng's mental spirit. Under the kiss, her breathing gradually quickened, knowing what was about to happen. Yet, for some reason, besides chaos in her heart, she surprisingly didn't have much resistance. Has she accepted her fate? However, at this moment, she felt Lu Chongxing letting her go. Qingyi! A warm, soothing voice sounded in her ears. In the recent nourishment, Chu Qingyi seemed to have gained a little more strength, her eyelashes trembled lightly, and she slowly opened her beautiful eyes. Immediately she saw an incredibly handsome face. Previously, she had seen Lu Chongxing, but never paid much attention. After all, in the cultivation world, handsome faces are countless. Mere looks aren't enough to attract much attention. But for some unknown reason, she now felt that Lu Changsheng's handsome face was immaculate, and just looking at him, gave rise to a natural sense of closeness. Qingyi, I am about to start, are you ready? Lu Chongxing looked at Chu Qingyi in front of him with gentle eyes, filled with deep affection. The way she looked so tragically beautiful made one want to love her dearly and warm her coldness. Chu Qingyi was somewhat at a loss for words. At this point, you're still asking me? Do I have any room to refuse? And even if I refuse, will you agree? Moreover, for some reason, seeing Lu Chongqing putting in so much effort and using every means to save her, she couldn't say the words of rejection anymore. Just as Lu Chongqing said, leave everything to fate. Sar the Novel Fire. Net ** website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If it fails, she will die, and before her death, she can treat this as a dream. If it succeeds, then it's meant to be. At this moment, Chu Qingyi's heart was in chaos. Seeing this, Lu Chongqing smiled slightly, knowing that the atmosphere had reached this point. Asking further would be less than ideal. However, seeing Fairy Qingyi in this manner, she really was adorable. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1305. Leaning down, he continued to kiss her cold lips, his hand removing the last layer of her dress. Chu Qingyi's skin was pale and delicate, slender and gentle, far less seductive and fiery than Nan Gongmili. She was not as enchanting and graceful as their master Yun Wanshang, nor as alluring and exquisite as junior sister Xiaofan. Yet, her proportions were nearly perfect. Her snow-like bosom resembled overturned jade bowls, just filling a single palm. Her slender waist swayed like a willow, her curves elegant and breathtaking. Her delicate, round hips were plump and firm, and her long legs were shapely and exquisitely proportionate, utterly flawless. Lu Chongqing slid off the white jade boots and silk stockings from her snow-white legs, revealing a pair of tender, beautifully shaped jade-like feet. Her two pale and soft feet resembled spring shoots, smooth as silk, gripped gently in Lu Chongqing's hands. She wanted to protest, but exhaustion rendered her powerless, allowing only a faint redness to blossom across her skin, making her appear stunning. Lu Chongqing didn't linger on playing around. At this moment, Tianyuan True Monarch's nascent soul origin had saturated his own meridians, dantian, and every fiber of his being. If he didn't begin refining or transferring it into Chu Qingyi soon, even he wouldn't be able to endure the pressure. Considering the lack of preparation in foreplay, Lu Chongqing squinted slightly as a peach blossom mark flickered faintly between his brows, glowing with a faint pink hue. Gradually, Chu Qingyi's icy white skin took on faint pink tones, her half-closed delicate eyes becoming hazy and unfocused. Ah! Lu Chongqing sighed inwardly at his actions, thinking his methods were truly. But given the urgency of the situation, saving her life outweighed everything else, and he refrained from indulging in further irrelevant thoughts. Moments later, within the isolated realm of the cave heaven, spring's lingering atmosphere slowly spread. The two figures, enveloped in multicolored spiritual light and nature's spiritual energy, tightly intertwined in harmonious yin-yang rotations. Here, no one disturbed them. Not even the faintest breeze existed. Time ticked by bit. It wasn't clear how much time had passed, as the initial stiffness and resistance gradually melted into tender gasps and unconscious yielding. Though the process was undeniably intimate, Lu Chongqing focused unwaveringly on his purpose throughout. Once Chu Qingyi's condition seemed stable enough, he immediately reminded her, "Qingyi, prepare for core transformation." Yet, Chu Qingyi showed no response. "Qingyi!" Lu Chongqing called softly, gazing at her pale face, tightly closed eyes, and tear-streaked cheeks. This kind of core transformation required her full cooperation. Sir the Novel, F. Iyer. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If she refused to participate willingly, attempting it by force would only lead to greater danger. Kill me or flay me afterward if you wish. Lu someone will obey thoroughly. But for now, please listen to me, alright? Besides, didn't you already agree to the second option? Lu Chongqing spoke in a low voice. Like hell I agreed. Chu Qingyi wanted to retort, but her previous actions effectively counted as acquiescence, and she sighed softly instead. She then activated her cultivation technique, starting to dissolve the true pill, using its remaining source essence to nourish every inch of her meridians and flesh. Phew! Seeing her cooperation, Lu Chongqing felt a significant sense of relief. He had feared she might stubbornly resist at the last moment. Immediately, he gathered the yin-yang magic power scattered across Chu Qingjia's body and directed it toward her Qi Ocean core to help dissolve her shattered true pill, enhancing her physical body and meridians. Suddenly, Chu Qingyi coughed up blood from her serious injuries. This core transformation process was similar to forcibly shattering a nascent soul and was perilous beyond measure. Seeing her plight, Lu Chongqing urgently transferred his own nascent soul origin into Chu Qingjia's limbs and bones. Simultaneously, he utilized the yin-yang nirvana technique and life transference technique to preserve her vitality. At the same time, he formed gesture incantations with his hands, injecting the spiritual medicine Tianyuan True Monarch had prepared into Chu Qingjia's body to assist her refinement. Boom! 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 3 days later, Chu Qingyi successfully dissolved her true pill, nourishing every inch of her flesh and meridians in the process. During the most critical moments, Lu Chongqing employed not only the yin-yang nirvana technique and life transference technique but also the 9 treasures Rui Bone. It could only be said that the core transformation process was dangerously severe. Tianyuan True Monarch had stated there was a 30% success rate. Undoubtedly an optimistic estimate. Without the 9 treasures Rui Bone, Lu Chongqing suspected that even if Chu Qingyi survived the ordeal, she would be unable to form a new core. Even if successful, her new core would likely be nothing more than a low-grade flawed pill, far below the level of a middle-grade true pill. For such a nascent soul origin, attempting core transformation is still so perilous. No wonder so few dare to undertake the process of breaking and reforming their core. Lu Chongqing sighed deeply, having gained first-hand insight into the dangers of core transformation. For ordinary cultivators, unless blessed with extraordinary opportunities, attempting it was practically a death sentence. Additionally, false cores and low-grade nascent soul cultivators faced other limitations: age and potential. An excessively high age could even disqualify one from attempting core transformation altogether. After briefly reflecting, Lu Chongqing refocused, embracing the spotless jade-like body before him. He activated the Sun-Moon Samsara technique, working tirelessly to help stabilize Chu Qingjia's condition in preparation for core formation. Thankfully, with the nascent soul origin of Tianyuan True Monarch and the rich spiritual energy within the Tianyuan Lotus, he wasn't wholly depleted despite the unending strain. Lu Chongqing felt he could hold on. Meanwhile, in the Luoyun mountain range. What? Qingyi is badly injured, rescued by a sword cultivator, and now untraceable? Yun Wanshang's expression turned icy as she heard the words of Venerable Lingfeng. The flowing fabric of her luxurious multicolored robe danced violently as an overwhelming, terrifying spiritual pressure surged forth, seemingly suffocating the air. This operation had been orchestrated by the 4 great immortal sects collectively. Now with Venerable Lingfeng, Venerable Huxiao, and the nascent soul immortals of the Luoxia sect all exiting the secret realm, her own disciple Chu Qingyi was the sole casualty. How could Yun Wanshang not feel outraged? Especially since the previous discussion about the secret realm had confirmed there were no remaining dangers, and it only served to suppress and intimidate the demonic path cultivators. Now the battle was over, yet her disciple had been gravely injured, rescued, and vanished without a trace. Her life hanging in uncertain balance. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1306. Now that the secret realm has collapsed, where can one possibly escape to? This is core formation late stage. The nascent soul immortals of the 4 great immortal sects nearby saw Yun Wanshang's spiritual pressure and were all taken aback, their expressions filled with shock. Core formation 9th layer. Every layer poses a significant hurdle, especially after reaching the core formation middle stage. 9 out of 10 cultivators in core formation spend their entire lives unable to break through to the late stage. Even though the 4 great immortal sects have nurtured many nascent soul immortals, capable of creating an extensive foundation for cultivating such experts, those who manage to break through to the late stage, however, remain extremely rare. Yun Wanshang is relatively young among the core formation cultivators of the 4 great immortal sects. But now she's ahead in breaking through to the late stage. This is astounding. Junior sister Kai Yun has actually broken through to the late stage of core formation. A nascent soul immortal of Qing Yun's sect was deeply shocked. Others might not know, but as a fellow nascent soul immortal of Qing Yun's sect, he clearly remembered Yun Wanshang's age. She was still a few years short of reaching her 200th birthday. 200 years, for a core formation cultivator, would be considered exceedingly young. There's a high possibility she could break through to the nascent soul stage in the future. With junior sister Kaiyun's talent, even if she fails to break through to nascent soul, she can still cultivate to the pinnacle of core formation. He gazed at Yun Wanshang, his heart filled with joy. With cultivation strength like hers, this naturally boded well for their Qingyun sect. But when he thought about the matter with Chu Qingyi, his heart sank. Kaiyun True Immortal, regarding the secret realm's anomaly at that moment. Lingfeng True Immortal explained the state of the secret realm. Though the three of them managed to escape the secret realm, their faces were pale, and their breathing was weak. Humph! If my disciple has met with misfortune, you all will have to answer to me. Yun Wanshang snorted coldly, speaking directly. Even though Lingfeng True Immortal, a nascent soul immortal of the Heavenly Sword sect, stood before her, she showed no courtesy whatsoever. Kaiyun True Immortal, please quell your anger. Such events were entirely unforeseen. Lingfeng True Immortal, knowing he was in the wrong, responded politely. Perhaps True Immortal could return to check Fairy Kinjia's soul lamp first. If the soul lamp remains lit, I shall report the matter to the True Monarch and seek ways to locate Fairy Qingyi. Fine. Yun Wanshang understood that anger was futile at the moment. The priority was finding a solution. If Chu Qingyi had been sucked into the Great Void, only the intervention of a nascent soul True Lord might offer hope of a rescue. Yet, considering the recent battle, where Shenjian True Monarch and Absolute Sword True Monarch ambushed Heavenly Fiend Jinjuan, consuming considerable energy, they probably wouldn't be able to traverse the Great Void again anytime soon. At this moment, her thoughts turned to Lu Chongqing. She had invited him to the Tianyuan's secret realm, but now that the realm had experienced an anomaly, many clan cultivators had perished. Yun Wanshang's divine sense swept through the area, yet she saw no trace of Lu Chongqing. Her heart sank slightly. If Lu Chongqing had perished within the secret realm, she wouldn't even know how to face Xiaofan back home. Have you seen Lu Chongqing? Sir, the novel, F. Iyer. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. She turned towards the Foundation Establishment disciples of Qingyun sect, asking aloud, Lu Chongqing? The Foundation Establishment disciples of Qingyun sect heard the question and appeared bewildered. Some didn't know who Lu Chongqing was. Others were surprised as to why Yun Wanshang would care about such a clan cultivator. True Immortal, are you referring to Bihu Mountain Lord, acclaimed for his dual mastery of pill and talisman arts, Lu Chongqing? At this moment, a Qingyun sect disciple stepped forward and responded respectfully. Yes. Yun Wanshang, dressed in her colorful gown, radiating elegance and beauty, gave a slight nod. Reporting to True Immortal, during the secret realm's anomaly, Mountain Lord Lu tried to escape but was suddenly ambushed by a nascent soul immortal in pursuit. Afterward, his whereabouts were unknown. This Qingyun sect disciple responded respectfully. Ambushed by a nascent soul immortal and his whereabouts unknown? Yun Wanshang's heart trembled fiercely upon hearing this. Now that the secret realm had collapsed and shattered, anyone who hadn't made it out was highly likely to have been swept into the Great Void. Even if Lu Chongqing possessed extraordinary luck and hidden strength, being swept into the Great Void was incredibly dangerous. The collapse of a secret realm does allow for the possibility of being teleported out of the realm. Yun Wanshang offered herself this reassurance. But the thought of him being pursued by a nascent soul immortal weighed heavily on her mind. Why was Lu Chongqing targeted for pursuit by a nascent soul immortal? Yun Wanshang continued her inquiry. Reporting to True Immortal, none of us are certain of the reason. This Qingyun sect disciple answered respectfully. Yun Wanshang fell silent for a moment, her pale jade-like hands lightly raised, conjuring a multicolored cloud-patterned handkerchief which transformed into a luminous cloud. She gracefully landed atop the cloud, which transformed into a brilliant beam of light that soared into the nine heavens gang wind, disappearing from sight. Why would Kaiyun True Immortal ask about Lu Chongqing? Yes, why would Kaiyun True Immortal be concerned about such a clan cultivator? Voices of curiosity began to rise. That Lu Chongqing is no ordinary figure. Not long ago, he ascended to the rank of third-rank talisman master. Also, he's said to have saved junior sister Shi Yu in her early years, which earned him favor from Kaiyun True Immortal and led to him becoming a visiting noble servant of Qingyun sect. Someone informed the others knowingly. Ah, so that's the reason. Such remarkable talent in talisman arts, and yet it seems Lu Chongqing has perished in the secret realm. It's rather regrettable. From what I hear, his qualifications to enter the secret realm were granted by Kai Yun True Immortal, which explains her concern. Ha ha ha, who would have thought that Lu Chongqing would truly meet his end in the secret realm? Whispers filled the air. Figures like Sima Qiuhua and Song Cheng, upon hearing that Lu Chongqing had seemingly perished in the secret realm, felt delight surge within them. Especially Sima Qiuhua, who could barely contain his desire to relay this good news back to his family. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1307. Jiang Country's Northern Territory, Great Dream Marsh. The Great Dream Marsh is an immense expanse of water, boundless and endless, shrouded year-round in a layer of hazy mist, affecting not only sight but also obstructing the divine sense of cultivators. Although rumors say the depths of the Great Dream Marsh are extremely perilous, a forbidden zone of absolute danger, many cultivators still venture here. On the one hand, the Great Dream Marsh is rich in aquatic resources, providing a livelihood for both cultivators and ordinary people through fishing. On the other hand, aside from the Great Dream Immortal City, one of the 3 great immortal cities of Jiang Country, the Great Dream Marsh is dotted with countless islands. Among these islands, some even contain spirit veins. Even if they are just first-grade spirit veins, or unremarkable ones, they are incredibly precious to loose cultivators. Finding an unclaimed spirit island allows one to become its island master, establish a family or force, and settle down securely. However, over the years, even the slightly better spirit islands in the Great Dream Marsh have already been claimed. At this moment, the night is serene. Moonlight pours down from the heavens, illuminating the shimmering lake surface. By a large black reef, a radiant flawless lotus of emerald hue, gleaming with crystalline luster, slowly drifts out. This lotus seems to lack roots and stems, drifting freely with the flow of lake water. If a knowledgeable cultivator spotted this lotus throne, they'd instantly recognize it as the priceless heavenly origin Emperor Lotus of the cultivation world. Currently, within the heavenly origin Emperor Lotus, a man and a woman are tightly entwined, their surroundings suffused with a flowing 5-colored radiance. Above the man's head, a vibrant sun shines brilliantly. Above the woman's head, only a faint, ethereal moon glimmers weakly. The two form an invisible alchemical furnace. The sun and moon cycle in harmony, merging seamlessly. Pure, dense nature's spiritual energy pours down like raindrops, drenching Lu Changsheng's muscular, well-proportioned, aesthetically perfect body. Boom, boom, boom. In addition to the external floods of spiritual energy, Lu Changsheng's internal nascent soul origin combines with the primordial yin origin obtained through dual cultivation with Chu Qingyi, surging into his Qi ocean core, causing his golden core to radiate brilliance, erupting with powerful 5-colored radiance, forming a terrifying spiritual pressure. Boom! 4 months ago, Lu Changsheng's cultivation level had just broken through to the golden core 2nd layer. Now, relying on the dual origin power, his cultivation has directly reached the golden core 3rd layer. Yet, this is far from the end. The surging energy continues to flow madly through his flesh, limbs, and bones, driving his yin-yang creation classic to operate frantically on its own. It hurts. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. A soft, hoarse voice suddenly echoes. Lu Chongqing looks at the disheveled hair and pale complexion of the beauty before him, her brows furrowed tightly, realizing his breakthrough earlier caused him to lose control of his power. Having cultivated the 100 refinements treasure body art, his physical body is as strong as a demon king, and despite his careful restraint, Chu Qingyi has suffered significantly throughout the process. Otherwise, this usually silent sword immortal child would never have voiced her pain. I'm sorry. Lu Chongqing speaks gently in a soothing tone, his chest's 9 treasures rui bone radiating brilliance, alleviating Chu Qingyi's discomfort while continuing the operation of the sun-moon samsara technique. Chu Qingyi, her pale and tragic beauty accentuated, softly moans as she crinkles her delicate nose, her eyebrow furrowing. Her exquisitely carved snowy feet tense up, her toes curling, almost aligning seamlessly with her sleek, round calves. Moments later, her brows relax, and her slightly parted captivating eyes shimmer faintly with waves of seductive charm. Upon returning to Qing Yun's sect, Yun Wansheng hurried directly to the sect's ancestral hall. In Qing Yun's sect, disciples who enter the inner sect or break through to foundation establishment are required to leave behind a life-bound token or soul lamp. A soul lamp allows one to sense danger and roughly identify a disciple's location for rescue. Furthermore, if a disciple were to betray the sect, one can use the life-bound token or soul lamp to cast specific secret techniques for capture or curse execution. Junior Sister Kaiyun, what brings you here? The Qing Yun sect leader hastily arrives upon hearing the report. The ancestral hall is a restricted area in the sect. Even Yun Wansheng, as master of Kaiyun Peak and enforcement hallmaster, cannot enter freely. The Tianyuan secret realm has undergone an anomaly. Qinjia's life is uncertain. I must enter the ancestral hall to inspect her soul lamp. Yun Wansheng's ruby lips slightly part, her tone icy and resolute. What? The Qing Yun sect leader is visibly shocked at this announcement. He is well aware that Chu Qingyi was brought to the sect and raised by Yun Wansheng from a young age. The two share a bond akin to mother and daughter despite their master-disciple relationship. Now, with Chu Qingyi in danger under arrangements made by the sect, Yun Wansheng might harbor grievances. Moreover, Chu Qingyi possesses a born sword heart, advancing rapidly in cultivation, breaking through to golden core before reaching a century in age, and showing remarkable potential for the future. If she truly encounters an accident, it would be a significant loss for Qing Yun's sect as well. Without hesitation, he retrieves his sect leader token, combining it with Yun Wansheng's Peak Master token to unlock the ancestral hall's formation and enters the Grand Hall. The outermost layer contains soul plates belonging to inner sect disciples and the sect's stewards. Further inside lies soul plates and soul lamps belonging to sect core members and foundation establishment disciples and executors. Upon entering the innermost palace, one finds the soul lamps dedicated to the nascent soul immortals. Moments later, Yun Wansheng and the Qing Yun sect leader come across a dim, flickering soul lamp, akin to a dying flame in the wind. This is Chu Qingji's soul lamp. Seeing the soul lamp, the Qing Yun sect leader instantly knows Chu Qingyi is gravely endangered, in a life-and-death crisis. He immediately says to Yun Wansheng, Junior Sister Kaiyun, I will notify Junior Brother Du right away to calculate Qinji's location. Thank you, Senior Brother Sect Leader. Yun Wansheng gazes at the soul lamp before her, lightly biting her ruby lips, her slender, jade-like hand tightly clenched. Suddenly, as if she recalls something, she leaves the ancestral hall for Kaiyun Peak, transmitting her voice toward Mingyue residence to Xiaofan. Xia, come see me. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1308. A moment later, Xiaofan arrived at the mountaintop, clad in snow-white garments. Her face was cold and aloof, as if she embodied the bright and unblemished moon. Seeing the unparalleled beauty before her, wearing a vibrant palace dress, with an air of nobility and elegance, Xiaofan bowed deeply and said, Master. Xia, Lu Chongxing encountered an accident in the Tianyuan secret realm. Go to Bai Lake Mountain and see if he left behind a soul lamp or life-bound token. Yun Wansheng looked at Xiaofan standing before her, sighed softly, and said, If he did not, then bring back one of his commonly used items. What? Upon hearing her master's words, Xiaofan's slender figure trembled violently, and the detached mindset of the supreme forgetful love technique she cultivated instantly collapsed. With a look filled with disbelief she spoke, Master, are you saying that Chongxing encountered an accident in the Tianyuan secret realm? Alas! Yun Wansheng gazed at her disciple's expression and sighed deeply in her heart yet again. The supreme forgetful love technique placed the utmost importance on mental fortitude. Her disciple had cultivated this technique for years, maintaining a demeanor that was unmoved by emotions and untouched by sentiment. Now, upon hearing news of Lu Chongxing, her composure shattered in an instant, and her Dao heart trembled. This showed that the seeds of emotion had taken deep root, and there was no turning back. If something truly happened to Lu Chongxing, if he were to perish, then her disciple's cultivation path would likely be utterly severed. Yet, when Yun Wansheng thought of the potential death of Lu Chongxing in the secret realm, a strange sorrow stirred within her heart as well. The Tianyuan secret realm experienced an anomaly, and Lu Chongxing's status is now uncertain. He has not emerged from the secret realm, which is why I am asking you to visit Bai Lake Mountain. Afterward, I will ask Elder Du to perform a divination regarding Lu Changsheng's condition. Yun Wansheng's expression remained dignified and serene, her voice soft as she spoke. The secret realm experienced an anomaly, and he has not emerged. Xiaofan let out a slight breath of relief at her master's words. Alive, she must find him. Dead, she must see his body. As long as she hadn't seen his corpse, she refused to believe that Lu Changsheng had fallen. Initially, upon hearing her master say that he had met with an accident and instructing her to check the soul lamp and lifebound token at by Lake Mountain, she had assumed the worst. Master, do we know what kind of anomaly occurred in the secret realm? And what kind of accident Changsheng encountered? Lightly biting her lip, Xiaofan asked softly. She stood there in a moon-white dress, her dark hair gently flowing, her breathtakingly beautiful face devoid of cosmetics, yet surpassing all mortal beauty. Her usually serene and detached eyes now rippled like a turbulent mountain spring, filled with waves of emotion. If the disciples of the Qingyun sect were to witness the usually aloof and cold fairy Shiyu, who was like the nine heavens' bright moon, caring so deeply for a man, their hearts would surely shatter, convinced they were hallucinating. Even Yun Wansheng, Xiaoxia's own master, couldn't help but sigh at the sight, wondering what kind of allure Lu Changsheng possessed to have bewitched her disciple so thoroughly. The Tianyuan secret realm has collapsed. A corpse monster with power comparable to a nascent soul emerged. As Lu Changsheng fled toward the exit, he was suddenly hunted by a core formation cultivator. His whereabouts are unknown, and he has not emerged from the secret realm. Yun Wansheng did not withhold anything and spoke plainly with her rosy lips. Hunted by a core formation cultivator? Xiaofan furrowed her brows slightly, finding this rather puzzling. She continued to inquire, Master, why would Changsheng be targeted by a core formation cultivator? And has this core formation cultivator emerged from the secret realm? What is their current status? The exact details, I am unsure of. The core formation cultivator has also not emerged from the secret realm, but we cannot rule out the possibility that he used some method to escape unnoticed. Yun Wansheng replied calmly. Though a heaven and earth net had been laid outside the secret realm, the emergence of a nascent soul true lord led to a chaotic battle, causing many measures to be destroyed, and perhaps, someone might have taken advantage of the situation to slip away. Sarch * the Defied. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Understood. Xiaofan gently pursed her lips, deep in thought, believing that Lu Changsheng was likely unharmed. Partly because of the trust she had placed in him over the years, and partly because she had faith in his abilities. No matter how brief his time in the core formation stage had been, she believed Lu Changsheng was no ordinary core formation cultivator. Master, is senior sister safe? At that moment, Xiaofan, recalling the anomaly in the secret realm, thought of her senior sister who was tasked with guarding the realm and voiced her concern. Your senior sister has also encountered an accident. Her situation is perilous, and her whereabouts are unknown. Yun Wansheng sighed deeply. How can this be? Xiaoxia's expression turned to one of shock. She hadn't expected that not only was Lu Changsheng missing, but even her senior sister Chu Qingyi was now unaccounted for. If it were said that Lu Changsheng, pursued by a core formation cultivator, was missing, with life or death uncertain, it might be understandable. But her senior sister, as a core formation true pill master of the Qingyun sect, should have been brought out of the secret realm by the Qingyun disciples or other core formation true pill masters, even if gravely injured or worse. Your senior sister was in a dire situation and was rescued by a sword cultivator. But who would have thought this sword cultivator would take her into the depths of the secret realm? When the realm collapsed and shattered, they did not emerge. Yun Wansheng's clear eyes flickered slightly as she spoke. If Qingyun sect disciples hadn't witnessed the scene, she might even have suspected that true Master Lingfeng was deceiving her. A sword cultivator, venturing into the depths of the secret realm? Xiaoxia's cold, moonlit eyes stirred with a trace of peculiar emotion. Lu Changsheng had disappeared. Her senior sister had disappeared. The core formation cultivator who pursued Lu Changsheng had also vanished. Her senior sister had been rescued by a sword cultivator and was now missing. If that sword cultivator were Changsheng, a thought emerged in Xiaoxia's mind, and everything seemed to suddenly make sense. After all, she was well aware that Lu Changsheng had practiced sword Dao techniques in his early years. Although he later switched to cultivating other techniques, Disguising himself as a sword cultivator should not be difficult, should it? She asked. Master, was that sword cultivator also a core formation cultivator? Why would he rescue senior sister? Yes, that person was a core formation cultivator. His methods appear to originate from a different nation's loose cultivators. As for why he rescued Qingyi, I have no idea. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1309. Yun Wanshang shook her head. This was also the part she couldn't figure out. Why would a core formation sword cultivator appear in the secret realm, and even go so far as to save Chu Qingyi? The only possibility she could think of was that the other party coveted her disciple's sword cultivation inheritance. At that moment, Yun Wanshang noticed that Xiaofan didn't seem as grief-stricken anymore. Though Xiaofan cultivated the supreme forgetful love technique, maintaining a serene state of mind unshaken by emotions, as her master, Yun Wanshang knew her well enough to understand that whenever her disciple mentioned Lu Chongqing, she seemed like a completely different person. There was no way she could have calmed down so quickly. Could it be that Xia knew something? Knew that Lu Chongqing was unharmed? Yun Wanshang's delicate brows furrowed slightly as she suddenly recalled an incident from years past. When Chu Qingyi was investigating matters related to the Xiaoho family, she was hunted down by Xiaoho Wuwa, poisoned by corpse toxins, and rescued by a loose cultivator named Han Li. Later, Yun Wanshang discovered that this so-called loose cultivator, Han Li, was actually Lu Chongqing in disguise. Beyond this, she remembered Chu Qingyi once telling her that when this Han Li used sword qi to expel the poison for her, their sword hearts resonated, and he praised her for her extraordinary talent in the sword Dao. A sword cultivator. Lu Chongqing was a sword cultivator? Could it be? Xia, do you know something? She fixed her gaze on her disciple and asked aloud. Under Yun Wanshang's penetrating stare, Xiaofan felt as though her very soul was being laid bare. She knew her master had likely already deduced something by asking such a question. But she wasn't certain how much her master actually knew. Considering the gravity of Lu Chongqing's secret, she softly replied, Chongqing once received a sword Dao inheritance. So I was thinking, the sword cultivator who rescued senior sister, could it perhaps be related to Chongqing? Related to Lu Chongqing? Yun Wanshang looked at Xiaofan before her, her gaze as deep and unfathomable as a pool. If this core formation sword cultivator was connected to Lu Chongqing, or rather, was Lu Chongqing himself, then that would be truly astonishing. She recalled the first time she met Lu Chongqing years ago. At that time, he was merely a little cultivator at the 4th level energy refinement stage. Yet in just a few years, he had already reached the peak of qi refining, excelling in both the law body and Taoist body. By the 3rd time they met, he had achieved foundation establishment mid-stage cultivation. Now, decades had passed, and though his cultivation seemed stagnant on the surface, she had sensed during their dual cultivation sessions that he was hiding his true progress. He had likely long since broken through to the late stage of foundation establishment. But a breakthrough to core formation, wouldn't that be too incredible? Even if Lu Chongqing were at the peak of foundation establishment, she might have been able to understand. But where would a mere clan cultivator like him acquire the core formation spiritual objects or a Taoist sight to achieve core formation? Unless Lu Chongqing possessed a heavenly spiritual root, or was in fact blessed with a supreme Taoist body. A supreme Taoist body. Yun Wanshang's mind raced for a moment before she turned to look at Xiaofan and said, head to Bai Lake Mountain for now. She knew Xiaofan likely had some knowledge but wasn't willing to reveal it, so she didn't press further and decided to seek others to divine the situation instead. Thank you, master. Xiaofan bit her lips softly, bowed respectfully, and turned into a streak of escape light as she departed Kaiyun Peak for Bai Lake Mountain. If this sword cultivator really is Lu Chongqing, Yun Wanshang watched Xiaofan's departing figure and recalled the time when she had been afflicted by the Red Phoenix Karma Fire, only to be saved by Lu Chongqing, forging a deep connection between the two. Her disciple Xiaofan had been ambushed and rescued by Lu Chongqing, who, to repay the karmic debt for saving her life and aiding her cultivation, had offered to assist her own foundation establishment with her spiritual body, and then, just as the thought surfaced, Yun Wanshang dared not think further and shook her head to dispel the notion. Qingyun Sect. Ancestors Hall. CTH Novel. F. Iyer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Junior Brother Do, how is it? The Qingyun sect leader and Yun Wanshang looked at the purple-robed elder before them and asked aloud. Phew! The purple-robed elder had a somewhat weary expression. Exhaling deeply, he cupped his hand slightly and said, Sect leader, a certain mysterious force is obscuring heaven's secrets. Even with the soul lamp, I am unable to divine true person Kinjia's whereabouts or situation. Obscuring heaven's secrets. The Qingyun sect leader and Yun Wanshang exchanged glances, both seeing the gravity in each other's eyes. Although they didn't understand the art of divination, they knew that there were numerous methods in the world capable of interfering with or disrupting heavenly secrets. For heavenly secrets to be obscured meant that the place where Chu Qingyi was located had some unusual issues. With the collapse of the Tianyuan secret realm, those trapped inside could potentially have been drawn into the Great Void. And the Great Void naturally had the chaotic property of obscuring heavenly secrets. Junior brother Du, thank you for your efforts. The Qingyun sect leader courteously spoke to the purple-robed elder, understanding that divinations and such matters couldn't be forced. The effort spent on calculating Chu Qingjia's situation had clearly consumed a significant amount of the elder's vitality, and he would require a long period of rest to recover. Sect leader, you are too kind. The purple-robed elder cupped his hands slightly and then took his leave. After the elder departed, the Qingyun sect leader continued, Junior sister Kai-yun, don't worry. I will immediately inform the Supreme Elder and request Senior Buswanzi to take action, making another attempt to divine Kinjia's situation. Divination, of course, had varying levels of mastery. Although this purple-robed elder was one of Qingyun's sect's top diviners, his skills were not particularly profound. Sect leader brother, there's no need for that. I will head to Heavenly Sword sect later. If Qingyi has indeed been drawn into the Great Void, only a true monarch will be able to rescue her. Yun Wanshang shook her head and spoke decisively. Very well. The Qingyun sect leader nodded, knowing that the Tianyuan secret realm matter was primarily under the leadership of the Heavenly Sword sect. Now that such an incident had occurred, it was both reasonable and necessary for Heavenly Sword sect to assist. Moreover, the Shenzhen true monarch from the Heavenly Sword sect was not only a sword cultivator but also proficient in the art of divination. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1310. By Lake Mountain, Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. After Xiao Xie arrived at By Lake Mountain, she informed Ling Zixiao, Lu Miaoge, and others about the Tianyuan secret realm and Lu Changsheng's situation. What? Chongqing is missing in the Tianyuan secret realm. How could this be? When Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaoyun heard this, their expressions grew solemn, their faces full of worry. Being chased by a nascent soul immortal? Ling Zixiao frowned slightly, her expression odd. Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaoyun might not understand Lu Changsheng's combat prowess and have always thought their husband was mild-tempered and not adept at violence. But she knew very well her husband's methods. At the initial stage of Foundation establishment, he had deployed talisman formations to suppress and kill 5 Foundation establishment cultivators. By the late stage of Foundation establishment, he could easily slaughter a false core immortal and calmly escape from a 3rd-rank demon king. Now, having broken through to core formation and condensed the immortal golden core, you say he's being chased by a nascent soul cultivator? If anything, the nascent soul cultivator should be the one being chased by her husband. Yes, but I heard from my master that a sword cultivator appeared in the secret realm and saved senior sister. So I suspect that this nascent soul sword cultivator is Chongqing. However, at the time, the situation was urgent, and Chongqing was unable to reveal his identity, so he took senior sister and left the secret realm. Xiao Xie continued, sharing her speculation, indicating to the other women not to worry too much. A nascent soul sword cultivator. Upon hearing this, Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaoyun relaxed a little, but their beautiful eyes still showed hints of concern. Seriously injured. However, Ling Zixiao's expression grew even stranger at these words. She thought, if this were true, wouldn't Lu Chongqing returning mean another sister would join their ranks? After all, given her husband's incredible luck in romance and this classic hero-saving damsel scenario, it seemed unlikely for the two not to develop something more between them. Moreover, if this nascent soul sword cultivator truly was her husband, would he let go of this fairy Qing-yi? Ling Daoist, what's the matter? Xiao Xie felt Ling Zixiao's gaze toward her was inexplicably strange and asked aloud. Nothing. My husband hasn't left behind a soul lamp, soul plate, or any life-bound artifact at home. Ling Zixiao shook her head and said, however, she turned towards the cave heaven and respectfully called out, Senior Mount Sumeru, do you know my husband's situation? The Mount Sumeru Tree King was her husband's contracted spiritual beast, and the connection between the two might provide some clues. The master is unharmed, Mount Sumeru replied. CTH Nell Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. It had no master-servant contract with Lu Chongqing, but the subtle connection between the two allowed it to sense that Lu Chongqing was still alive. Phew! Upon hearing this, Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaoyun, and Xiaofan all breathed a sigh of relief. They say worry blinds the mind. Previously, they had all forgotten about Mount Sumeru's existence. Thank you, Senior Mount Sumeru. Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, and the other women expressed their gratitude. Although Mount Sumeru Tree King was their husband's spiritual pet, as a third-rank demon king, they still showed respect. Knowing Lu Chongqing was safe calmed Xiaofan considerably as she went to Chongqing Hall to retrieve Lu Changsheng's frequently used talisman brush, preparing to return and report. However, just before departing to fulfill her mission, she thought for a moment and decided to bring Lu Miaoge and Lu Qingxian along to Qingyun's sect. On the one hand, they could use the bloodline connection between Lu Qingxian and Lu Chongqing to estimate his general situation. On the other hand, considering Lu Chongqing had encountered trouble in the Tianyuan secret realm, if he delayed his return, other family forces might test or provoke them. Lu Miaoge, as the lady of the Lu family, visiting Qingyun's sect in Kaiyun Peak, would also send a message to the outside world, possibly serving as a deterrent. Miaoyun, once news of the Tianyuan secret realm spreads, rumors about my husband's situation will certainly circulate among the opportunists. Since the family's commerce is just starting to gain traction, notify Lu Yun and Xingyang to prepare in advance. Meanwhile, Ling Zixiao also addressed Lu Miaoyun. Sister Ling, I understand. Lu Miaoyun nodded gently, responding. Though her demeanor was fresh and lively, like a playful maiden, years of managing internal affairs for the Lu family had shaped her into a woman of refined elegance and noble grace. Lu Miaoge and Xiaofan piloted their spirit boat and gently landed outside Qingyun's sect's mountain gates. So this is Qingyun's sect? Lu Qingxian looked curiously at the cloud-covered, ethereal peaks and the radiant misty scenery of Qingyun's sect. Bai Lake Mountain wasn't far from Qingyun's sect, yet he had never been here. Yes. Lu Miaoge, her face gentle and her demeanor fluid like water, gave her son a brief introduction to Qingyun's sect. However, she had only visited twice before and wasn't very familiar with the sect herself. Uncle Master Xiao. Seeing Xiaofan, the disciples at the mountain gate immediately bowed and greeted her. Xiaofan's expression remained cool and noble as she nodded slightly and led Lu Miaoge and Lu Qingxian into Qingyun's sect, heading toward Kaiyun Peak. Master. She reached the palace at the summit and paid her respects. Yun Wanshang, seeing Lu Miaoge outside, was struck by a strange sense of unease. She recalled how she had cultivated the virtuous woman reincarnation technique years ago, entering the soul path dreams of Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge, and there, intertwined with Lu Miaoge. Though it was merely a dream, the experience had left an impression on her. Sigh. Yun Wanshang felt a vague sense of agitation. If Lu Chongqing were truly in danger or had an accident, she wouldn't just be unable to face Xiaofan but would also be ashamed before the Lu family and Lu Miaoge. I hope that little scoundrel is all right. Yun Wanshang took a deep breath, suppressed her miscellaneous thoughts and walked out of the palace. Greetings, Elder Kaiyun. Lu Miaoge promptly bowed respectfully alongside her son. Yun Wanshang nodded slightly. Taking the talisman brush from Xiaofan's hands, she raised her palm lightly and led Lu Qingxian toward Elder Du to deduce Lu Changsheng's situation. As Lu Miaoge watched Kaiyun True Immortal leave, for some reason, she found the departing figure vaguely familiar. Yet she knew this was her first time meeting Kaiyun True Immortal. She had never seen her before. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 13:11. However, the other party's body and face seemed to be shrouded in an ethereal divine aura, indistinct and veiled, making it impossible to see their true appearance. What is your name? Yun Wanshang gazed at Lu Qingxian, whose appearance perfectly inherited the likeness of Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge, and felt a sudden sense of closeness in her heart. Her voice softened as she spoke. Reporting to the true immortal, my name is Lu Qingxian. Lu Qingxian looked at Yun Wanshang, whose entire being emanated a glowing radiance and an invisible aura of oppression. Although slightly restrained, he maintained composure and respectfully clasped his hands in salute. Lu Qingxian. Yun Wanshang nodded slightly and asked aloud, the Qingyun sect opens its mountain gates once every 5 years to recruit new disciples. If you are willing, I can grant you the status of an inner sect disciple directly. Although she did not know Lu Qingxuan's talent level, she could infer from his cultivation level that his spiritual root was not only adequate but possibly exceptional. Therefore, if he was willing to join the Qingyun sect, she was also willing to extend some favor. Thank you for your kindness, true immortal. I will need to ask my parents before deciding. Lu Qingxian was somewhat flattered but did not give a direct answer. Very well. Yun Wanshang did not press further. She brought Lu Qingxian to a mountain peak. A moment later, an elder in a purple robe stepped out to greet them. Upon hearing Yun Wanshang's intention, he took up the talisman brush, extracted a drop of Lu Qingxuan's essence blood, and performed a technique with hand gestures to divine his fate. So this is the art of divination. Lu Qingxian watched Elder do with serious eyes. The 100 arts of cultivation were vast and profound. Of these, the art of divination counted as one of the most mysterious. However, such inheritance was exceedingly rare, with only a few individuals able to master it. He had only read about it in books and had never witnessed it before. After a long while. Kaiyun true immortal, this person's fate is also shrouded by a force that obscures heaven's secrets, making it difficult to deduce his circumstances. Elder Du shook his head and said, when divining Chu Qingyi earlier, he had expended considerable essence, qi, and spirit. Now, while divining Lu Chongqing, he felt a resistance, a veiling of heaven's secrets, and chose not to continue. Elder Du, thank you for your hard work. Yun Wanshang nodded and said. Her purpose in divining Lu Changsheng's situation was twofold. First, to see whether she could uncover useful clues or information about him. Secondly, she wanted to understand if his circumstances were similar to her disciple Chu Qingji's. Now, hearing this result, her expression subtly tensed. She thought to herself, is that nascent soul sword cultivator truly Lu Chongqing? Otherwise, why would her disciple Chu Qingyi be concealed from heaven's secrets, and Lu Chongqing too? Furthermore, she had given Lu Chongqing a token sealed with divine skills many years ago. If the token were activated, she would be able to sense it through mysterious connections. Yet, she had not felt the token being activated, which indicated Lu Chongqing was likely not in grave danger. Yun Wanshang did not dwell further on the matter. She turned to Lu Qingxian, lightly flicked her jade-like fingers, and a jade talisman fell before him. She spoke aloud, if in the future you wish to join the Qingyun sect, you may use this to contact me. Currently, with Lu Changsheng's whereabouts uncertain, Bai Lake Mountain was likely to face some trouble. Though she would not personally intervene in such matters, she was willing to offer some backing. This jade talisman served as a gesture of support. If Bai Lake Mountain did encounter trouble, as long as Lu Qingxian or Lu Miaoge presented this jade talisman, it would serve as an external deterrent. This junior thanks the true immortal. Lu Qingxian, though unsure why this nascent soul true immortal regarded him so highly, was still overjoyed and respectfully clasped his hands in salute. Very well. After returning to Kaiyun Peak with Lu Qingxian, Yun Wanshang explained the situation briefly to Xiaofan before heading to the Heavenly Sword sect, transforming into a streak of rainbow light and leaving the Qingyun sect. Xia, I recall Xingyue and Yunlu are at the Qingyun sect. If convenient, I wish to visit them. At this moment, Lu Miaoge spoke aloud. Sir, the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. As the aunt of Xingyue and Yunlu, now that she was at the Qingyun sect, it was only proper to show care and concern. Besides, her husband had encountered such an incident, and it was possible the news might reach the two of them. She should also remind them to focus on their foundation establishment and not worry about family affairs. All right. Xiaofan nodded, leading Lu Miaoge to visit the two of them, and afterwards to see Zhao Qingqing. Mother, earlier Kaiyun True Immortal asked if I was willing to join the Qingyun sect. When Lu Miaoge left the Qingyun sect and returned to Bai Lake Mountain with Lu Qingxian, he took out the jade talisman from Kaiyun True Immortal and spoke. Ah! Lu Miaoge was pleasantly surprised, not expecting her son to be highly valued by Kaiyun True Immortal. Although her husband believed their children had no need to join immortal sects, the fact that her son was proactively regarded by the True Immortal still moved her heart. However, recalling the past events concerning her son Lu Qingshan and daughter Lu Qingzhu, she calmed herself and decided to wait for Lu Changsheng's return before making a decision. Mother, the True Immortal bestowed this jade talisman upon me, which surely shows favor toward our family. Just recently, Father had taken the role of guest elder at Kaiyun Peak, and now he encountered unexpected danger in the Tianyuan secret realm. At this moment, Lu Qingxian pursed his lips and spoke softly. Lu Miaoge felt her heart tremble upon hearing this. Her expression softened as she gently stroked her son's head, murmuring, "Xianer, don't worry. Your father will be fine, absolutely fine." Within the Tianyuan lotus, there were no sun, moon or stars, no day and night to alternate. Lu Chongsheng and Chu Qingyi engaged in endless intimacy and dual cultivation. The two almost forgot time, forgot themselves, and became wholly intertwined. Throughout this process, Chu Qingyi's condition gradually improved. Her stunningly beautiful face was no longer deathly pale but gained a warmer flush. Lu Daoist. At this moment, Chu Qingyi spoke softly, indicating that she was already much better. No rush, nascent soul origin is still sufficient. Let's be cautious. Lu Chongxing gazed at the mesmerizing elegance of the woman before him and replied. At first, his sole focus had been on helping her recover, leaving no time to fully appreciate the unparalleled beauty of this sword immortal child. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 13:12. Now that the situation has stabilized, we can naturally take a moment to admire it. Chu Qingyi's face flushed crimson, her delicate body trembling as she closed her beautiful eyes. Yet the more reserved she appeared, the more Lu Chongxing couldn't resist teasing her, causing her delicate nose to emit soft hums, her expression a mix of embarrassment and vexation. To be honest, seeing the ordinarily cool and heroic sword immortal child like this, shy and bashful, was utterly captivating. If something were missing, it was only that there was just one person present. If Shi Yu or even Kaiyun True Immortal were here as well. Qing-yi, core formation is dangerous, and we mustn't allow the slightest negligence. What we're doing is all for healing and core formation. In my heart, fairy, you are still pure and untouched like jade. Lu Chongxing spoke gently, looking at the beauty before him. Chu Qingyi, her misty eyes opening and closing, caught sight of Lu Changsheng's tender and affectionate gaze. Her heart swelled with embarrassment and annoyance, and even a trace of speechlessness. Had already done this to her and still claimed she was pure and untouched. If this was truly for healing and core formation, what were his hands busy doing? However, the normally sharp-edged sword immortal child was now like an ostrich, only daring to ponder such thoughts internally, without voicing them aloud. After all, in this sort of situation, the shame was unbearable. Qing-yi, your complexion has improved a lot. Looking at you, you'll probably just need a few more days of healing before starting core formation. Don't worry, with me here, you'll definitely succeed in forming your core, a superior gold core. Lu Chongxing looked at the frowning fairy before him and continued, gently caressing her soft and smooth, flushed yet pale cheeks. Chu Qingyi pressed her lips without speaking, her face so red it resembled the morning glow. Humiliated and agitated, she turned her disheveled-haired head to the side. Clearly, Lu Changsheng's words had thrown her mind into disarray and made it hard for her to compose herself. Time crept forward moment by moment. Seeing that Chu Qingyi's condition had stabilized, Lu Chongxing didn't delay any longer and began assisting her with core formation. After all, if he delayed further, the nascent soul origin that he had refined or the healing effects might dissipate, potentially missing the opportune moment for core formation. Boom! Lu Chongxing drove the Sun-Moon Samsara technique to its limits, integrating the Sun-Moon cauldron floating above his head into Chu Qingyi's Qi ocean core. Huff, huff, huff. At the same time, nature's spiritual energy surged and poured into Chu Qingyi's physical body. Even though Chu Qingyi had previously been a nascent soul immortal, now undergoing core formation again after dissolving her previous core, she still faced the three gates of core formation. Given Chu Qingjia's current state, it was naturally difficult for her to endure such an infusion of nature's spiritual energy. But during their earlier dual cultivation, Lu Chongxing had already transferred nascent soul origin into her meridians and core, as well as the sun-moon cauldron. Thus, he directly repelled the influx of nature's spiritual energy, allowing only a small portion to enter Chu Qingjia's body, then absorbed the rest himself to refine into spiritual energy for her. Meanwhile, Yun Wanshang had arrived at the Heavenly Sword Sect. After stating her purpose, she was invited to a grand hall to wait. Yun Wanshang took out Chu Qingjia's soul lamp from her bosom and glanced at it. The once dim and faint soul lamp, like a candle clinging to life in the wind, now appeared significantly brighter. However, the flickering soul fire still betrayed Chu Qingjia's unstable condition. Qing Yi has escaped danger? Yun Wanshang gazed at the soul lamp in her hand, a joyful expression lighting up her face. Taoist Kai Yun. A moment later, a man neither tall nor short, neither fat nor thin, with a face that appeared somewhat ordinary yet carried an air of masculine charm with a hint of feminine refinement, approached. His loose snow-white robes, worn elegantly, hung at his waist with a simple green long sword, evoking a sense of purity, white jade untainted by dust. But as soon as he stepped into the grand hall, Yun Wanshang sensed the entire space enveloped by an invisible gravity. Greetings, true monarch. Yun Wanshang bent at the waist and paid her respects. Even though the four great immortal sects shared close ties, as one of the Qingyun sect's peak masters with a core formation late-stage cultivation level, Yun Wanshang dared not show even the slightest disrespect before this nascent soul true lord. Taoist, I already know the reason for your visit. Have you brought your disciple's soul lamp? Xianjian true monarch's voice was calm and warm, devoid of any sword cultivator's sharpness. Yun Wanshang handed the soul lamp from her bosom to Xianjian true monarch. Taking the lamp in hand, its flame flickered softly as Xianjian true monarch began to manipulate calculations, a gaze that alternated between soft serenity, steady gravity, lively brilliance, and commanding austerity flashing across his ordinary yet striking face. A moment later, his expression settled into tranquil composure, his lips forming a faint smile as he said, Taoist Kai Yun, indeed your disciple was marked by a terribly ominous fate. Yet misfortune and fortune interweave. Calamity breeds opportunity. If she can overcome this tribulation and turn peril into safety, she'll meet a most auspicious fate. For now, your disciple has emerged from the most threatening situation. Whether her future holds misfortune or fortune will depend on her own destiny. If we were to intervene, it might upset her fate. Xianjian true monarch spoke in a calm, measured tone. Thank you, true monarch. Yun Wanshang visibly relaxed upon hearing these words. Although divination techniques do not yield absolute precision and only offer blurred insights, the true monarch's words suggested it would be best not to interfere. Otherwise, meddling with destiny could introduce complications and unforeseen changes potentially leading to calamity for Chu Qingyi. Taoist Kai Yun, there's no need to thank me. Were it not for your discovery of the Tianyuan secret realm, Juejin might never have successfully broken through to nascent soul. Xianjian true monarch said with a calm demeanor. SAR the Oval Fire. Website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1313. The vast lake stretched endlessly, and a crystalline blue-green lotus seat drifted amidst the waves. Sometimes it sank to the depths of the sea, sometimes it floated back to the surface. Occasionally, demon beasts spotted this lotus seat, attacking it viciously or swallowing it whole. But soon after, the lotus seat would bloom with spiritual light, emanating a terrifying magic aura that left the beasts bleeding and defeated. At this moment, within the lotus seat, huff, 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 the spiritual energy of heaven and earth surged wildly, forming a vortex akin to a breach, saturating the air with overwhelming spiritual pressure. If this goes on, attempting to condense a superior golden core will be exceedingly difficult. Lu Chongxing was channeling the Sun-Moon Samsara technique to assist Chu Qingyi in reforming her core. However, he realized that continuing this way would make it near impossible for her to condense a superior golden core. Even if she managed to condense one by a stroke of luck, it could at best be a third-grade core. Could I directly refine nature's spiritual energy into 7 luminaries mana and then merge it with her mana? Lately, An idea emerged in Lu Changsheng's mind. Years ago, when he was detoxifying Chu Qingyi, the Seven Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture resonated mysteriously with her cultivation technique and Tao foundation. This indicated that the two techniques shared similar characteristics and were not mutually exclusive. Moreover, his cultivation technique, the Yin-Yang Creation Classic, possessed the power to unify and coordinate various forces. If that were the case, he could directly refine nature's spiritual energy into Seven Luminaries' mana and transfer it into Chu Qingyi's Qi Ocean core. Through the Yin-Yang Creation Classic, he could harmonize the two forces, which would enormously boost the efficiency of core formation. Though such a thought sounded utterly absurd, the more Lu Chongqing pondered, the more feasible it seemed. After all, when he had condensed the Yin-Yang Five Elements Tao foundation years ago, he faced imbalances in Yin and Yang. Yet he had relied on Yun Wanshang's spirit-nurturing energy to achieve perfect harmony. Qingyi. Without hesitation, Lu Chongqing shared his idea with Chu Qingyi. Chu Qingyi, upon hearing this, found it utterly inconceivable. It wasn't just about cultivation techniques sharing similar traits. Even practitioners of identical techniques would see uneven mana following breakthroughs in foundation establishment and core formation, making perfect fusion difficult. Yet, inexplicably, she instinctively chose to trust Lu Chongqing and agreed to let him act. On one hand, she knew he harbored no ill intentions toward her. His suggestion must stem from confidence. On the other hand, her emotions were already tangled beyond measure, leaving her unsure of how to face Lu Chongqing, or her junior sister, afterward. All right. Chu Qingyi's face flushed crimson as she resigned herself to the possibility of failure. At least if she failed, she wouldn't have to confront Lu Chongqing, or her junior sister. Qingyi, don't worry. Lu Chongqing, evidently aware of her thoughts, gently stroked her soft, rosy cheek and spoke tenderly. Then, carefully channeling the Seven Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture, he transferred a portion of Seven Luminaries' mana into Chu Qingyi's meridians and Qi Ocean core. Though the two forces shared similarities, they indeed struggled to fuse. Especially since Chu Qingyi was currently forming her core. If the Seven Luminaries' mana accidentally merged into the embryonic inner core, it might result in chaotic mana and ultimately cause core formation failure. Lu Chongqing began channeling the Yin-Yang Creation Classic, attempting to meld the two forces. Under the harmonizing guidance of the Yin-Yang Creation Classic, the Seven Luminaries' mana seamlessly fused into Chu Qingyi's embryonic inner core, integrating flawlessly and gradually merging as one. Chu Qingyi's misty, mesmerized eyes opened wide with wonder, gazing at Lu Chongqing in astonishment, longing to understand how he accomplished this. This was astonishing. Utterly unbelievable. Qingyi, if you feel unimpeded, I shall continue. Lu Changsheng's warm gaze locked onto Chu Qingyi's hazy, shy eyes as he spoke softly. Chu Qingyi's heart skipped a beat under his intimate gaze, her emotions swirling uncontrollably. She hastily turned her head, tightly closed her eyes, and avoided looking at Lu Chongqing, her face awash with embarrassment. Lu Chongqing sighed inwardly. He thought this fairy Qingyi was far too easily embarrassed. Despite their growing closeness, she remained so shy and reserved. Qingyi. Lu Chongqing reached out to pinch her smooth, snowy cheek, signaling that he would continue if she had no objections. Chu Qingyi let out a soft hum. Does mean yes or no? Lu Chongqing asked with a smile. Chu Qingyi pressed her lips together, silent, her dazzling eyes opening slightly to glare at Lu Chongqing in annoyed embarrassment. This man, despite appearing gentlemanly, acted so shamelessly. Ia the Novelier. NET website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Ignoring him didn't deter his teasing. Instead, he persisted, intentionally trying to make her speak in these mortifying situations. No problem. Chu Qingyi bit her lip lightly and mumbled. Her typically clear and soothing voice now trembled slightly, tinged with emotion and allure. Very well, very well. This husband understands. Lu Chongqing laughed, responding cheerfully. He thought to himself, though Qingyi exuded an icy demeanor, once her heart melted, she would undoubtedly prove a devoted wife and mother. He wondered whether she liked children. Chu Qingyi shifted her head aside, refusing to engage in his conversation, convinced that this man was becoming increasingly brazen. First, he addressed her intimately as Qingyi. Now, he audaciously referred to himself as her husband. They had only met twice. During their first meeting, she had been disguised. And yet, he was already so familiar and presumptuous. Chu Qingyi couldn't fathom how thick-skinned this man was. Or perhaps how many other women he had treated this way to become so practiced and effortless. Lu Chongqing didn't mind Chu Qingji's attitude. After all, their relationship lacked emotional depth, requiring time and interaction for feelings to develop. Nonetheless, despite teasing her, Lu Chongqing never neglected his responsibilities. As he channeled the 7 luminaries' mana into Chu Qingji's Qi Ocean core, a radiant sun emerged at his brow, illuminating the 7 luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 13-14. Qingyi. He called out, his soul gradually enveloping Chu Qingyi, attempting to pass on the 7 luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture to her through soul fusion. Although she couldn't switch to cultivating this technique for now. The two techniques held common attributes, and perhaps they could interweave, complement each other, and achieve mastery through mutual integration. Buzz! Chu Qingyi felt a tremor in her heart, seeing a golden soul envelop her own. Then countless Tao patterns surged into her mind, transforming into incomparably profound Tao and truths. 7 luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture. Chu Qingyi looked at this profound and intricate cultivation technique, utterly at a loss for words. Lu Chongqing not only spared no effort in saving her life, helping her to form her core, but also revealed various secrets to her. Now he was selflessly passing down this extraordinary technique to her. She truly couldn't comprehend why Lu Chongqing was so good to her. Love at first sight, perhaps. Chu Qingyi recalled Lu Changsheng's earlier words, and deep within her heart, a soft chord seemed to be struck. She felt nervous, moved, and fluttered. Her misty, enchanting eyes became momentarily dazed. A person does not have a heart of stone. Who can remain unaffected? Though she usually devoted herself solely to cultivation and sword practice, rarely moved by others. At this moment, she too was touched by Lu Changsheng's selfless and unconditional actions. However, thinking about Lu Changsheng's relationship with her junior sister, she sighed slightly. Though she was unclear about the specifics of their relationship. But the fact that he had cultivated the Sun-Moon Samsara technique to such a degree indicated that his relationship with her junior sister was already extraordinary, even recognized by her master. Under such circumstances, as a senior sister, how could she intervene in her junior sister's feelings? Moreover, it would be unseemly for senior and junior sisters to marry the same man. It would not only tarnish the sect's reputation, but also invite criticism and potentially anger their master. Chu Qingyi was now utterly conflicted. Qingyi, focus on comprehending the technique and concentrate on forming your core. At this time, as the soul fusion continued, Lu Chongqing vaguely sensed some of Chu Qingji's thoughts and spoke out. Chu Qingyi, hearing these words, felt her heart tremble, her face flushing with embarrassment. As a nascent soul immortal, she naturally understood that during such soul communication, their thoughts could easily be perceived. She immediately held her breath and centered her mind, both comprehending the 7 luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture and continuing her core formation. However, she was able to multitask like this mainly because most of the core formation process was being handled by Lu Chongqing, leaving her only to stabilize the inner core's nascent form. Such an exquisite cultivation technique, Chu Qingji's Qingyun sword technique, was merely a peripheral sect-level cultivation method. It wasn't that Qingyun's sect didn't possess orthodox-level cultivation techniques. Rather, it was because she was born with a sword heart, and resonated better with sword Dao cultivation methods. However, Qingyun's sect wasn't a sword cultivator sect, so it lacked top-tier sword Dao inheritances. Of course, the Qingyun sword technique, being one of Qingyun's sect's sect-defining cultivation methods, was naturally of the highest caliber. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been able to resonate with the 7 luminaries' sword scripture. At this moment, various insights from the 7 luminaries' sword scripture flooded into her mind, granting her large gains as she instinctively activated the cultivation technique and interwove the 7 luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture with the Qingyun sword technique. Humming, humming, humming. A moment later, within Chu Qingji's Qi Ocean core, amidst the nascent inner core form, 2 harmonized streams of mana produced a mysterious resonance. My goodness! Is this the caliber of a prodigy from an immortal sect? Lu Chongqing was astonished upon seeing this. Although the two techniques had many similarities, The fact that she was able to comprehend the technique the moment he passed it down, intertwine the techniques, and achieve mastery through mutual integration was simply too incredible. Lu Chongqing felt that Chu Qingjia's talent in sword Dao wasn't inferior to his son Lu Qingshan's, and her comprehension might even surpass his. "Qing-yi, you're amazing," Lu Chongqing praised aloud. Since she could harmonize her mana and achieve a balanced resonance between energies on her own, forming a superior golden core would now be much simpler. Upon hearing the praise, which sounded like one might encourage a child, Chu Qingjia's heart trembled. She was overwhelmed by embarrassment. Her memory took her back to her childhood, when her master would coax her like this. But now, wasn't she a fully grown adult? Moreover, this person was actually younger than her, yet now he treated her like a child. Yet she knew she must not argue with this rogue. Otherwise, who knows what shameless words might escape his lips. Chu Qingyi shut her enchanting eyes tightly, her pale cheeks now flushed scarlet, as she tried to focus completely on breaking through to forming her core. While Lu Chongqing assisted Chu Qingyi in forming her core, a piece of shocking news spread throughout the Jiang country cultivation realm. A prominent expert of the Heavenly Sword sect, Absolute Sword True Person Yunjian Feng, broke through to nascent soul. Furthermore, during the opening of the Tianyuan secret realm, the heavenly fiend Jinjuan of Liang country's Heavenly Slaughter sect led an ambush. He ended up being ambushed by Shenjian True Monarch and Absolute Sword True Monarch, his physical body destroyed. Only his nascent soul narrowly escaped. The news was astonishing. On one hand, after several hundred years, the Heavenly Sword sect produced another nascent soul True Monarch, solidifying its undisputed dominance of Jiang country. On the other hand, the fact that two nascent soul True Monarchs from the Heavenly Sword sect nearly slew a fellow nascent soul monarch was remarkable. It's well known that at the nascent soul level, killing someone else is extraordinarily difficult. Especially considering that the heavenly fiend Jinjuan was an established, renowned veteran nascent soul cultivator. Now, however, his physical body was destroyed, and only his nascent soul spirit body barely managed to escape. Liang country and Yu country have long clashed. For the heavenly fiend Jinjuan to come here this time, he likely intended to disrupt Jiang country and provoke a cultivation world war with Yu country. With his physical body destroyed, it's unlikely he'll recover in less than 30 to 50 years. Not just that. I heard the heavenly fiend Jinjuan relied on a secret technique to escape by merging into the void with his nascent soul. It might take him 100 years to fully recover. Ia the Oval Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 13-15. As expected of Shenjian True Monarch, who once held off two nascent soul true lords from Jin Kingdom single-handedly, and now almost killed heavenly fiend Jinjuan with absolute sword True Monarch. After this battle, Liang country and Yu country will probably remain quiet for some time. This news, although sensational, only circulated among the upper echelons of the cultivation world. Ordinary qi refining loose cultivators were completely unaware of such matters. However, while some rejoiced, others were saddened. Besides these two sensational pieces of news in Jiang country's upper circles, many family forces received bad news. Their family patriarch or nascent soul seed had fallen in the Tianyuan secret realm. Lu family ancestor, Lu Chongqing, was hunted by a nascent soul immortal in the Tianyuan secret realm and died within the realm. Indeed, this is absolutely true. My seventh uncle's cousin is the ancestor of the Jin family at Golden Dragon Ridge, and he confirmed it. I heard the Sima family at Profound Marshall Ridge also vouched for the truth of this matter. Shortly after, news about Lu Chongqing of Blue Lake Mountain spread rapidly in the Qingyun region. This news instantly attracted attention from various family forces, coming to Blue Lake Mountain to verify its authenticity. Faced with this situation, Lu Miaoge was already prepared, and the first to dispel the rumors outwardly. She even showed the soul lamp of her husband to some acquainted family patriarchs. The unextinguished soul lamp indicated that Lu Chongqing was still alive. That same day, Lu Wangshu went to White Tiger Mountain, found her elder brother Lu Pingon, took the 9 Netherhound, and headed towards Golden Dragon Ridge. Boom! Lu Wangshu directly unleashed a third-rank talisman against the Jin family's mountain gate, causing the great formation at Golden Dragon Ridge to rumble violently and spiritual light to flicker. Though my father had some unexpected encounters in the secret realm, he will return soon. If your Jin family dares to provoke or spread rumors again, my Blue Lake Mountain will level your Golden Dragon Ridge. Lu Wangshu, dressed in a pink and white skirt, with blue silk hair flowing elegantly, appeared like cold jade under the scorching sun, stood tall on the green jade Luan bird, and said coldly, "Level my Golden Dragon Ridge? Such arrogance." A Jin family elder shouted coldly but did not come out to face the enemy, merely activated the family's great formation. Months ago, Lady of the Lu family, Ling Zixiao, set up formations, and alongside Lu family's eldest son Lu Pingon, they suppressed Patriarch Sima of the Sima family, Sima Tong. The talisman formation technique of this talisman fairy, if compared to the Lady of the Lu family, is perhaps not inferior in the slightest, possibly even better. At this moment, with the brother and sister duo arriving, the Jin family was indeed not a match in direct confrontation. Even if ancestor Jin Zan accepted the challenge, if he got trapped in the formation, he might meet the same fate as Patriarch Sima. If you do not believe, feel free to try. Lu Wangshu, with a tall and elegant demeanor and exceptionally delicate appearance, looked calmly at Golden Dragon Ridge and spoke, not a trace of pretense. Tell Jin Zan, back in the day, my parents could easily suppress him. Today, my brother and I can do the same. If he is not afraid of death, feel free to come out and try. After saying this, Lu Wangshu turned to Lu Pingon and said, "Let's go, big brother." Then, without even glancing at Golden Dragon Ridge, she rode away on the green jade Luan bird, leaving with her brother Lu Pingon and the 9 Netherhound. CTH Novel Fire. Net ** website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Damn it! A mere junior dares to insult my Jin family in such a manner. This is outrageous. The Jin family elder watched the two leave peacefully, his face extremely unsightly. Lu Wangshu's behavior and words were a blatant slap in the face. By slapping their Jin family's face, they were establishing their might. I didn't expect the Lu family to be so assertive. With Lu Pingon and Lu Wangshu, even if Lu Chongqing really fell outside, it's difficult to shake the position of the false core family of Blue Lake Mountain. Alas, what virtue or ability does Lu Chongqing possess to have such a pair of children? The momentum of the Lu family in Blue Lake Mountain is already established. After this news spread, many nearby family forces sighed, knowing that unless the Sima family of Profound Martial Ridge, or the Yuan family of Great Ape Mountain, completely fell out with Blue Lake Mountain and went to war. Otherwise, even without Lu Chongqing, the current power of Blue Lake Mountain is not something ordinary forces could provoke. And not long after, another piece of news spread. Jin family ancestor Jin Zan was also seriously injured in the Tianyuan secret realm, thus not daring to come out to fight. I wonder if this Jin family ancestor is truly injured or just feigning injury. I heard that ancestor Jin was indeed injured, but it's not too severe. I wonder if the Sima family would still act against Blue Lake Mountain. Things between the two families ceased not long ago. Even if the Sima family wanted to act, they wouldn't do it openly. Now, with Blue Lake Mountain owning 4 spirit lands and establishing a chamber of commerce, relying on Lu Pingon and Lu Wangshu alone might not hold the position. Although Lu Pingon and Lu Wangshu retaliated strongly, the disturbances were not yet settled. Many family forces paid attention to the situation at Blue Lake Mountain, wanting to see if the Lu family had the ability to stabilize the current situation. After all, many families had good relations with the Lu family not only because of Lu Pingan's false core level combat power but also due to Lu Chongqing, the 3rd-ranked talisman master. Meanwhile, at the Heavenly Sword sect, Lu family's eldest son, Lu Pingon of Blue Lake Mountain, at such a young age achieved quasi-third-order body refining, and alongside the Lady of the Lu family, Ling Zixiao, suppressed Sima family patriarch, Sima Tong at Profound Martial Ridge. A woman about 26 or 27, with slender eyes and bright lips, whose face was charming and heroic, and tied a high ponytail, heard the news, and slightly frowned. Blue Lake Mountain, Lu Pingon, she pursed her bright lips, went to the Heaven Net Tower of the sect, took out her identity jade, and asked aloud, "Is there detailed information on Blue Lake Mountain? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1316. Bihu Mountain. 40 years ago, the Lu family ancestor, Lu Chongqing, seized it from the Yu family and established the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, where his family, Qin Yi, focused on the jade slip in her hand, which contained information about Bihu Mountain. When she saw only a brief mention about the Lu family's eldest son, Lu Pingon, she asked aloud, "Senior brother, is there any detailed information about Bihu Mountain's Lu Pingon?" "Bihu Mountain, Lu Pingon? Junior sister. Wait a moment." Moments later, a disciple from Tianwang Tower handed her a jade slip containing the information. The content inside about Lu Pingon was sparse, covering only his physical appearance, identity, and current combat strength. As for his personal history, there were only 2 items: defeating the Tao family patriarch and the Sima family patriarch. "It's indeed him," saw the novelier. NET website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. When Qin Yi saw the tall, robust, and stalwart-looking young man detailed in the jade slip, her expression froze momentarily, and she lightly pressed her lips together. Years ago, after parting ways with Lu Pingon, she began her journey toward the Heavenly Sword sect. Now that she thought about it, she truly was like an untamed calf unafraid of tigers in those days. At the 4th level of Qi refinement, she dared to travel alone from the Qingyun region to the Heavenly Sword sect to seek apprenticeship. If not for the stack of talismans and 3 bottles of elixirs Lu Pingon had given her upon parting, she probably would have perished halfway there. Even so, it was sheer luck that she encountered an elder from the Heavenly Sword sect. Otherwise, joining the Heavenly Sword sect was nearly impossible. Not only did he succeed in embarking on the path of cultivation, but he has also grown to such an extent. It seems he must have some kind of latent spiritual root, or even a spiritual body. It was just that his spiritual root was dormant back then, which prevented him from cultivating. Looking at the depiction of Lu Pingon in the jade slip, Qin Yi murmured softly, her heart both relieved and at peace. After their parting that year, a sense of emptiness lingered in her heart, and she felt an urge to find Lu Pingon. But since they had parted, they had no way of contacting each other. Moreover, in her youth, she was also determined to find a way for him to cultivate despite being immortal. Yet, when she arrived at the Heavenly Sword sect and gradually gained understanding of cultivation, she finally understood the weight behind the words, the divide between immortals and mortals. In the world of cultivation, there indeed exist heavenly and earthly treasures capable of granting mortals spiritual roots. However, such treasures are exceedingly rare. Even nascent soul immortals and true lords may not be in possession of them. Still, she did not give up. After breaking through to Foundation establishment, she journeyed out of the sect, battling demons and slaying evildoers while seeking news regarding such matters. But 20 years passed with no significant leads. Who would have thought, upon returning to the sect, she would hear news of Lu Pingon starting his cultivation journey and advancing to such a level? An overwhelming sense of relief and joy filled her heart, making her feel as though her very soul was unburdened. So back then, the one who entered the Purple Shadow secret realm was him. At this point, Qin Yi's willow-like brows arched slightly as she recalled her encounter with An Ping in the Purple Shadow secret realm. At the time, her intuition told her that the person was indeed Lu Pingon. However, the other party denied it, and the notion of a mortal engaging in cultivation at the time seemed too preposterous for her to fully believe. Now, seeing that Lu Pingon had set out on the path of cultivation and had likely achieved quasi-third-tier body refining, her suspicions were finally confirmed. Why didn't he acknowledge me? Qin Yi's brows furrowed slightly, her hand gripping the jade slip with strength. I see. He must have disguised his identity to enter the Purple Shadow secret realm, which implies he didn't want to reveal himself. Furthermore, judging by appearances, he has been concealing his strength all along. Qin Yi's thoughts turned to the details about Lu Pingan's life and background. She surmised that Lu Pingan's latent talent likely awakened later, prompting his family to keep him hidden and low profile. After all, in family factions, such situations were not uncommon. A top-tier genius emerging from a small family force was often kept secret until their growth, to prevent other families from neutralizing the threat. But why hasn't he written a single letter to me since? Biting her lip lightly, Qin Yi fell silent. If An Ping was indeed Lu Pingon, then despite her having clearly informed him that she was at the Heavenly Sword sect, why hadn't she received even a single letter? She didn't dwell further on the matter and decided to head to Bihu Mountain to meet Lu Pingon and get to the bottom of it. After so many years, the regrets of her youth had carved themselves into her very being. The memories after their parting, guilt, longing and bittersweet affection, had fermented for decades, turning those early years into a vivid yet distant dream, now an unwavering obsession. After completing her formal registration at the record hall, Qin suddenly stopped in her tracks and turned toward the letter tower. She took out her identity jade token and asked, "Excuse me, are there any letters for me?" A Qi refinement apprentice verified her token, then retrieved a bundle from a corner and responded, "Martial Ant, please check if any of these letters are yours." Qin glanced at the senders' names on the letters, her gaze freezing slightly as she saw the stack of more than 10 letters. Her expression faltered for a moment. Her once stoic face showed a faint smile, followed by a bitter one, as she took the letters and left the letter tower. She quickly returned to her dust-covered cave mansion. Without even using the cleansing technique, she eagerly opened the letters with anticipation and read the contents. But as she read what was written inside, she froze completely, her face filled with utter bewilderment and disbelief. Misty Rain Market. Lu Chongqing, Mountain Lord of Bihu, has fallen within the Tianyuan's secret realm. Am I now a widow even before entering his home? A woman of around 28 or 29 years old, dressed in a light blue gown with a delicate face, heard the news and revealed a somewhat peculiar expression. Previously, when the Sima family sent people to Misty Rain Market to demand accountability, she made a decisive decision to seek assistance from Bihu Mountain and agreed to their vassalage request, on the condition that the Mountain Lord of Bihu marry her as a concubine. But unexpectedly, before she could even officially join his household, this Lu Mountain Lord allegedly perished in the Tianyuan's secret realm. Elder sister, since that Lu ancestor has died in the Tianyuan's secret realm, the Sima family may use this opportunity to provoke and probe Bihu Mountain. Moreover, by allying with Bihu Mountain, we might become targets of the Sima family suppression. I will head to Bihu Mountain. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 13:17. After pondering for a moment, Yu Fei turned to her elder sister and said, "Now that this Lu ancestor has fallen, will Bai Lake Mountain be willing to take action?" Yan Lan spoke with some worry clouding her eyes. Though Bai Lake Mountain has Lu Pingon and Lu Wangshu as its pillars, in her eyes, without Lu Chongqing, the Lu family ancestor, a third-rank talisman master, Bai Lake Mountain is like a top-tier false core battle strength missing. A definite disadvantage against Xuanwu Ridge's Sima family. Under such circumstances, why would they fight hard against the Sima family for their Misty Rain Market? Although my marriage contract with Lu ancestor was not finalized, in name, I am still considered one of his concubines. I believe Bai Lake Mountain wouldn't leave us be. Otherwise, how would their other allies view them? Besides, Bai Lake Mountain and Xuanwu Ridge have already become mortal enemies, destined for relentless conflict. If they sit idly by, it would essentially mean pushing us away. Yu Fei said so. According to the tributes their Misty Rain Market offers as a subordinate force, indeed, it shouldn't be worthwhile for Bai Lake Mountain to provoke enmity with Xuanwu Ridge's Sima family. But given their deep-seated rivalry, under this situation, if Bai Lake Mountain doesn't protect its own, it would be akin to weakening their own power. Fei Fei, how you've been wronged. Yan Lan heard her younger sister's words and sighed. Previously, when her sister suggested marrying Lu ancestor as a concubine, she had disapproved, feeling aggrieved on her behalf. Now that Lu ancestor's whereabouts are unknown, her sister still has to carry the title of a grieving widow-to-be, which truly pained her. What grievance could there be? Yu Fei gave a gentle laugh, utterly unconcerned. She felt hardly any sorrow for Lu Changsheng's passing. After all, she had only met this Lu ancestor once. Though this Lu ancestor was handsome and refined, a rarely seen beautiful man, and she would have been willing to marry him, it wasn't to the extent of love at first sight, nor the kind where one hears of his death and falls into despair. Moreover, her decision to become Lu ancestor's concubine was purely out of self-interest. With his death, her benefits have indeed diminished, but it wasn't too much of a loss at least, now she wouldn't have to be. Yu Fei looked at her elder sister beside her, wrapping her arm around her waist. Her shapely figure clung to her elder sister like a snake, breathing softly as she whispered, "Sister, it's just a title, it's not as if it affects anything. Besides, sister, didn't you oppose me marrying anyone else?" As she spoke, her lithe body shifted sensually against her elder sister's. Her crimson lips moved forward for a kiss, her breath faintly coming in pants. Then she opened her mouth slightly, taking Yan Lan's flushed earlobe gently between her teeth, softly nibbling. Fei Fei. Yan Lan's cheeks flushed deeply, her legs weakening. Soon after, her charmingly radiant face moved closer to her younger sister's red lips, kissing her passionately. Outside matters were entirely unknown to Lu Chongqing. At this moment, he was still wholeheartedly assisting Chu Qingyi in her core formation. With Chu Qingyi's comprehension of the Seven Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword Scripture and the aid of the Yin-Yang Creation Scripture, the two streams of mana integrated harmoniously, making Chu Qingyi's core formation process significantly smoother. Although achieving a first-grade golden core was still slightly challenging, the formation of a high-quality golden core was already certain. Thus, time slowly flowed by. The nature's spiritual energy within the Tianyuan lotus began to surge ferociously, pouring into Lu Changsheng's body like a funnel. Initially, the spiritual energy within the cave heaven was as vast as a boundless sea, rich and dense like liquid. Yet as it was steadily consumed, the spiritual energy had begun to grow much thinner. After all, the Tianyuan lotus contained no spirit vein. All the spiritual energy depended entirely on the Tianyuan lotus properties, accumulated over several millennia. Still, despite its thinning, the accumulated spiritual energy was initially so abundant that it remained sufficient to support Chu Qingyi's breakthrough to core formation. No one knew how much time had passed. Buzz, within Chu Qingyi's Qi Ocean core, a glimmering golden core surrounded by faintly seven-colored radiance bloomed, exuding endless divine light as it broke through the sun-moon furnace cauldron, gradually orbiting atop her Tao Foundation jade plate. Boom boom boom, her Tao Foundation hummed violently, surging forth tens of thousands of hues of divine light, illuminating in tandem with the golden core. At this moment, a yin-yang fish swam into Chu Qingyi's Qi Ocean core, circling the radiant golden core suffused with a seven-colored aura, as if sculpting it. With the movement of the yin-yang fish, tendrils of yin-yang energies began to rise and ripple, appearing almost like streams of the great Tao mechanism flowing, causing seven-colored core patterns to gradually emerge upon Chu Qingyi's golden core. Chu Qingyi's mental spirit was stunned. She couldn't fathom what kind of method Lu Chongqing employed to make her golden core condense several levels within an instant. But just at that moment, her mental spirit was briefly distracted. She seemingly caught glimpses of herself returning together with Lu Chongqing post-core formation, where her junior sister, Xiaofan, learned of her relationship with Lu Chongqing and was overwhelmed by grief. Then, there was Lu Chongqing proposing marriage to her master, whose look was filled with disappointment. Heart Demon. Having broken through core formation previously, Chu Qingyi was aware that this was the heart demon arising during the process. Ordinarily, with her sword heart clarity, such distractions shouldn't take root. Yet for several days now, her involvement with Lu Chongqing had left her uncertain of how to confront things. All her fears, worries, and inner conflicts had bottled up deep in her heart and now erupted entirely. Break! Possessing an innate sword heart, cultivating sword Tao techniques, and with experience in core formation along with her core formation soul, she swiftly shattered this heart demon realm. However, even as her beautiful eyes briefly opened and closed, gazing upon the strikingly handsome Lu Chongqing standing before her, her emotions remained indescribably tangled within. Defeating the mountain bandit is easy. Defeating the bandit in one's heart proves difficult. Although her Tao heart was steadfast, the current circumstances deeply troubled her. Noticing Chu Qingyi glancing at him, Lu Chongqing merely smiled gently, his slightly weary face radiating tenderness as he softly murmured, "Calm your heart." Chu Qingyi softly responded, focusing her spirit to complete the final stages of her core formation. For ordinary cultivators forming their cores, they often required a period of settling and maturing for 100 days. But as Chu Qingyi's core formation was her second one, her foundation was substantial, supported additionally by the nascent soul origin and Lu Changsheng's assistance. She didn't need as long. On this day, Chu Qingyi's golden core intertwined and fused with her Tao foundation, creating a marvelous resonance. At this moment, sacred sounds representing the great Tao reverberated throughout her being, and 10,000 streaks of resplendent light emanated from the golden core, purifying her flesh and blood. Aligned with this, her innate magical sword let out faint sounds of euphoria. It's still slightly lacking, but achieving second-grade golden core is acceptable. Improvements can come later. Seeing Chu Qingyi successfully form her core formation, Lu Chongqing exhaled in relief. His expression brightened with joy. As the saying goes, saving one life equals building a 7-layered pagoda. Having successfully saved Chu Qingyi from a life-threatening predicament and enabled her to form her second-grade golden core, Lu Changsheng's heart brimmed with fulfillment. Moreover, assisting her with core formation opened up new strategies and pathways for him. The next time Lu Miaoge, Xiao Xia, Ling Zixiao, and others attempt core formation, he could use a similar approach to boost their success rates and achieve higher quality outcomes. However, for them to achieve high-quality golden core outcomes like Chu Qingyi's, it wouldn't be as straightforward. After all, Chu Qingyi's success hinged entirely upon Tianyuan True Monarch's nascent soul origin. Though Tianyuan True Monarch had mentioned it was merely the remnants of nascent soul origin, this resource was an immense boon for a core formation cultivator, vast and overwhelming. Not only did it heal Chu Qingyi's meridians and flesh, but it also helped her condense her second-grade golden core. Meanwhile, Lu Changsheng's cultivation level had risen from core formation second layer to the peak of core formation third layer. Ia the Novel Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Just one step shy of breaking through to core formation fourth layer. If I fully refined all this nascent soul origin, I wouldn't just reach the fourth layer. The fifth layer or even sixth layer might be possible. Lu Changsheng contemplated covertly. The nascent soul origin he transferred to Chu Qingyi's meridians and dantian had caused substantial wastage. Still, he didn't feel overly regretful about this. At times, gains are intertwined with losses, and losses pave the way for gains. After all, one cannot retrieve tiger cubs without entering the lair. Yes, the comparison of Chu Qingyi, this fairy resembling flawless jade-like buns, to a tiger's den seemed apt. Thank you, Lu Daoist. At this moment, Chu Qingyi slowly opened her bright and clear eyes, speaking gently to Lu Changsheng, though clearly unsure of how to interact with him. Congratulations to my dear Qingyi for forming her high-quality golden core. Lu Changsheng casually wrapped his arm around the bowtie's waist, planting a kiss upon her flawless cheek, his tone tender. Chu Qingyi gently furrowed her brows, unsure how to converse with Lu Changsheng. Their interaction felt overly intimate, and she feared he might soon blur the lines entirely and say something embarrassing. Yet speaking as they might normally would seem distant, a hurtful stance. Qingyi, you've just undergone core formation. Focus on consolidating your realm. Lu Changsheng observed her slight discomfort. Understanding that haste wouldn't help, he decided to allow her time to adjust gradually. Mwah! Lu Changsheng stood up, donning his robe, preparing to investigate whether this cave heaven might hold other valuable items. After all, Tianyuan True Monarch had mentioned leaving behind some heavenly and earthly treasures. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 13:18. Lu Changsheng stepped into the palace. Though the interior was simple, it was fully equipped, with facilities for alchemy, artifact refining, cultivation quiet rooms, and more. Evidently, Tianyuan True Monarch's second nascent soul not only cultivated here but also immersed himself in mastering the 100 arts of cultivation. He entered the alchemy chamber. Sir the Oval Fire. Website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. At the center stood a massive white golden alchemy furnace, supported by 3 legs, with 36 engraved golden crow divine birds radiating an ancient and profound aura. What an extraordinary alchemy furnace! Lu Changsheng's eyes gleamed as he instantly recognized the uniqueness of the furnace. He stepped closer for a detailed observation, and determined that this furnace was likely a 4th-rank alchemy furnace. However, due to the passage of time and lack of use, its spiritual essence had been eroded, reducing its effectiveness to that of a 3rd-rank furnace. Nevertheless, it's more than adequate. Perfect for replacing my old alchemy furnace at home. Lu Changsheng nodded in satisfaction. He was only a 2nd-order alchemist. For him, this furnace was more than sufficient. Even if Hong Lian needed to remake her physical body and required 3rd-order spirit pills, this furnace would suffice. Moreover, with proper nurturing, the furnace might regain its 4th-rank effectiveness. Lu Changsheng then approached the adjacent table and opened several medicine bottles and jade boxes placed atop it. Even though these elixirs and spirit medicines had been stored in porcelain bottles or jade boxes, millennia of passing time had caused their medicinal power to diminish significantly. However, these elixirs appeared to be casually refined by Tianyuan True Monarch, with no presence of precious items like coagulation crystal elixirs or infant transformation elixirs, so Lu Chongqing felt only mild regret. He wasn't particularly distressed. If there had been a few degraded infant transformation elixirs here, Lu Chongqing might have lost sleep for 2.5 years over them. After a brief inspection, Lu Chongqing entered the adjacent artifact refinement room. This room was much larger than the alchemy chamber. At its center stood an enormous pitch-black treasure forging platform. Similar in grade to the alchemy furnace in the previous room, this treasure forging platform was also of 4th rank, though its spiritual essence was somewhat eroded. However, compared to the alchemy furnace, this treasure forging platform was in relatively better condition, likely a quasi-4th rank item. With this treasure forging platform, crafting magical treasures in the future will be much more convenient. After inspecting it for a while, Lu Chongqing couldn't hide his joy. Refining magical treasures was a highly intricate process. Some treasures could be forged using earth vein fire or heavenly spiritual fire. Others required specialized tools like treasure foundries and forging platforms. This treasure forging platform created by Tianyuan True Monarch undoubtedly possessed impressive capabilities. It was equipped for quenching, refining, fine refining, smelting, pattern integration, molding, treasure consecration, and more. With this treasure forging platform, his top-tier third-order artifact refining skills could now be perfectly executed. Then Lu Chongqing turned to the materials stacked in several corners of the room. There were various ores, magical treasure materials, and demon beast bones, among others. Frost mysterious iron, fire prime copper, thick earth iron essence. Lu Chongqing examined these exceptionally rare heaven and earth spiritual materials from the outside world, along with some materials he couldn't name. Could this be the claw of a 4th-rank great demon king? At that moment, Lu Chongqing spotted a massive blood-red claw as large as 10 feet. Upon closer inspection, he felt an intimidating aura emanating from the claw. Even after thousands of years, this claw still radiated a shocking presence, something no 3rd-rank demon king could achieve. It was highly likely the claw of a 4th-rank great demon king. No wonder so many people love exploring secret realms. Gains like these are undeniably captivating. Looking at the rare spiritual materials before him, Lu Chongqing exhaled deeply, feeling a sense of awe. Initially, he believed his system made him indifferent to secret realm opportunities. But now, he could only admit, it was truly tempting. Even so, he still wouldn't risk venturing into secret realms merely for potential gains. After all, how many such fortunate encounters exist like the Tianyuan secret realm in the cultivation world? With these materials, he'll never have to worry about crafting magical treasures again. If I wished, I could even forge 3 to 5 magical treasures for myself. Magical treasure materials were unlike elixirs. Even with spiritual erosion, their degradation wasn't too severe. Demon beast tendons, bones, and inner cores might suffer significant spiritual losses. But for gold iron ores, as long as they were properly refined and purified, the impact would be minimal. Full of anticipation, Lu Chongqing moved to explore the other rooms. Next to him was a room dedicated to incense making, with an elegant and traditional ambience. It housed various kinds of incense sticks and sheets. However, Lu Chongqing lacked expertise in incense making, so he refrained from testing their effects. After all, incense effects varied greatly. Some could calm the mind and spirit, aiding cultivation. Others might induce hallucinations, cause deviation, or work as aphrodisiacs. Lu Chongqing exited the incense-making room and entered the adjacent talisman room, where he acquired a third-order talisman brush. There were also jars of spirit ink and stacks of talisman paper. But due to their age, all their spiritual essence had waned, rendering them unusable. When Lu Chongqing reached the wine cellar, however, he was overjoyed. Most heavenly and earthly treasures and spirit medicines would lose their spiritual essence over time without proper preservation. But spiritual wine was different. It could absorb nature's spiritual energy and ferment, making the spiritual energy in the wine more refined and potent, enhancing its quality. Lu Chongqing opened a jar of spiritual wine. Instantly, the intoxicating aroma of the wine filled the entire cellar, captivating the senses and soothing the mind. After thousands of years of storage and fermentation, this spiritual wine had reached 4th rank. Hiss, these 6 jars of spiritual wine are now practically priceless. Lu Chongqing was pleasantly surprised, marveling at the breadth of Tianyuan True Monarch's interests. Alchemy, artifact refining, incense making, talisman making, wine brewing. Each skill reached at least 3rd rank. He entered the next room and saw 6 insect nests. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1319. Inside were many insect eggs, seemingly an attempt to cultivate spiritual insects. However, after several thousand years, these eggs had all lost their vitality, and Lu Chongqing had no idea what kind of insect eggs they were. He shook his head and arrived at the final cultivation chamber. Inside, apart from a meditation mat, there was also a bookshelf with numerous jade slips and books displayed upon it. Yellow Dragon Immortal's Travel Notes, Record of Extraordinary People in the Southern Wilderness, Mystical Secrets of the Profound Heaven, True Explanation of the Heavenly Star Formation Path, Chongqing Puppetry Technique. Lu Chongqing gazed at the books and jade slips on the shelf with an expression of joy. Although Tianyuan True Monarch gifted me his cultivation technique inheritance, I simply lack the time and energy to cultivate it. To me, these casually collected travelogues, handbooks, geographical atlases, spiritual object manuals, and 100 arts of cultivation inheritances are far more valuable. Lu Changsheng's face shone with delight. While his family didn't lack cultivation technique inheritances, it was still lacking some foundational accumulation compared to the immortal sects, especially in terms of knowledge. Unless he emptied out a few immortal sects, it would be impossible to achieve such accumulation overnight. But now, with these texts organized, the family's foundation could rise to another level. Strategizing fate. Is this a divination inheritance? At that moment, Lu Chongqing noticed a particular book and stared at it in surprise. The 100 arts of cultivation are vast and profound. Among them, if ranked by rarity, divination would definitely be in the top 3. However, inheritances in this field are extremely scarce and the threshold is abnormally high. Back then, he had even asked Hong Lian whether she understood the divination art. Hong Lian explained that divination is fundamentally different from other 100 arts. Only those with innate talent in this area can begin cultivation. If one lacks the talent, no amount of effort will be fruitful. Forcing oneself into cultivation could even lead to sudden death or complete insanity. There was once a nascent soul true lord who forcefully cultivated the divination art, for a time achieving minor success but ultimately becoming insane in their research. As such, even though Hong Lian had the qualifications to access the divination inheritance, she chose not to delve deeper into it. I wonder if I have the talent in this field. Search * The Oval Fire. @ website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Chongqing rubbed his chin thoughtfully. But upon reconsidering, even if he did possess the talent, he wouldn't have the time to invest in research. It would be better to wait until his family produced a descendant with divination talent. Who knows, maybe one day he'll draw a 3rd-order divination. Lu Chongqing chuckled lightly, his attitude toward divination rather indifferent. This was because Hong Lian had previously explained much about it to him. He knew divination wasn't as impressive as one might imagine. It could only predict vague and general information. Frequent attempts to deduce heavenly secrets not only drain one's mental energy but also shorten one's lifespan and diminish fortune. Thus, many cultivators of the divination art do not live long, and their later years are often rather miserable. And this is only the dwelling of Tianyuan True Monarch's second nascent soul. If it were his actual cave mansion in its peak years, how astonishing would its wealth have been? Lu Chongqing glanced through the books for a while, filling his heart with emotion. These inheritances of the 100 arts were at least 3rd rank, while the ones for alchemy, artifact refining, formation, talisman making, and puppetry technique reached 4th rank. Such inheritances would be priceless treasures in the outside world. Yet here, they were treated almost like ordinary books, casually placed on a bookshelf. After examining the books for some time, Lu Chongqing recalled that Tianyuan True Monarch also had a medicine garden. He immediately proceeded to check on its condition. A few spiritual medicines had previously been used to help Chu Qingyi restore her meridians and physical body, and now, in the jade-like medicine fields, only 3 ancient medicines remained crystal clear and radiant. Is this the infant cultivation flower? Lu Chongqing saw one with 4 leaves, emitting 5-colored light, its crystalline texture glimmering, and exclaimed in surprise. The infant cultivation flower. A top-tier nascent condensation spiritual item. It could nourish the nascent soul during the nascent soul process, increasing the probability of condensation and enhancing the quality of the nascent soul. According to Lu Changsheng's knowledge, once the infant cultivation flower grew 3 leaves, it could already be used as a nascent condensation spiritual item, improving the condensation probability by roughly 10%. This particular infant cultivation flower had 4 leaves, meaning it could increase the probability by 15% or even 20%. Its rarity was beyond measure. Aside from the treasure Emperor Lotus, this infant cultivation flower is probably my greatest harvest from this journey. Lu Changsheng's face was full of joy and excitement. Although Hong Lian had once said that with his great Tao golden core, his future nascent soul would be assured, Lu Changsheng still felt that items like nascent soul spiritual objects and infant transformation elixirs ought to be prepared anyway. After all, if the chances of condensation were not at least 98%, what difference was there from outright failure? Could this be heaven-replenishing fungus? Lu Changsheng's gaze fell upon nearby Lingji, completely white and etched with faint golden patterns, and he furrowed his brows uncertainly. Back when his son Lu Chuanjun acquired a heaven-replenishing elixir and consumed it to enhance his spiritual root quality, Lu Changsheng had been paying attention to this type of elixir, wondering if it could be stably refined. Later, through Hong Lian, he learned that the primary ingredient for the heaven-replenishing elixir was called heaven-replenishing fungus. I'll ask Hong Lian about it later. Lu Changsheng pondered silently. Although he didn't possess the recipe for the heaven-replenishing elixir and couldn't refine it himself, it was still incredibly gratifying to acquire such a rare spiritual medicine. Then his gaze shifted to the final spiritual plant, a somewhat chaotic vine emitting a flow of purple and golden light. Lu Changsheng couldn't identify it immediately. After all, the varieties of rare flowers and herbs ranked 3rd and 4th are abundant, and his knowledge in this regard remained limited. The reason he could recognize the infant cultivation flower and heaven-replenishing fungus was purely because Hong Lian had explained them to him. Nonetheless, this vine being placed alongside the infant cultivation flower and heaven-replenishing fungus clearly signified its extraordinary rarity. Lu Changsheng decided not to disturb the 3 ancient medicines. He planned to examine them further upon returning and decide whether to transplant them. If they proved useful to him, he could even cultivate them carefully using the myriad spirits bottle. Lu Changsheng returned to the hall's entrance. Chu Qingyi was seated cross-legged, stabilizing her cultivation realm. She was currently dressed in the azure robe embroidered with cloud patterns that she had worn during her golden core ceremony. Her long black hair was elegantly tied up, cascading smoothly down. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1320. The exquisite and finely contoured features were breathtakingly beautiful, indescribable by words, carrying both the softness of femininity and a certain cold aloofness and heroism that left one in awe upon gazing. As if sensing Lu Changsheng's return, her slender lashes trembled gently, hinting at a trace of nervousness. Goodness! Am I really that intimidating? As a core formation cultivator, Lu Changsheng's soul was exceptionally sharp, and he naturally noticed this subtle movement from Chu Qingyi, leaving him momentarily speechless. Although, gazing upon Chu Qingyi clad in the Qingyun robe, her brows like a painting, exuding heroic charm, her beauty befitting that of a sword immortal, he couldn't help but feel a slight heat in his heart. Still, it's not as though he was constantly preoccupied with such thoughts. Not to mention, having spent countless days and nights healing Chu Qingyi and condensing her golden core, even with his body as resilient as a magical treasure, nourished by the nascent soul origin, he still felt weary and needed some rest to stabilize his realm. I wonder where we are right now? Lu Changsheng extended his divine sense to observe the surroundings. He had previously surveyed the external environment and knew that after the Tianyuan lotus tore through the void, it landed in a water domain. However, the specific location remained unclear. He simply intervened whenever he sensed a demon beast interfere with the Tianyuan lotus. Setting aside these thoughts, Lu Changsheng moved to sit cross-legged beside Chu Qingyi, beginning to adjust his state and stabilize the situation. Yet for some reason, he couldn't shake the feeling that he had forgotten something. Phew! Seeing Lu Changsheng merely sit down beside her, Chu Qingyi let out a soft sigh of relief in her heart. She did not dislike Lu Changsheng. However, she couldn't help but feel a little uneasy about how to interact with him if he were to become too close or intimate with her. Qingyun Sect. Kaiyun Peak. inside a luxurious palace. Has Qingyi escaped danger? Yun Wansheng, adorned in a colorful and ornate palace gown, her face exquisitely beautiful and dignified, with an air of nobility, was radiant with joy as she gazed at the soul lamp in front of her, now finally stabilized. After returning from the Heavenly Sword sect, she had no heart for cultivation and had been closely monitoring her disciple Chu Qingji's soul lamp. At this moment, seeing the flickering flame that once seemed like a candle in the wind now robust and steady, she knew Chu Qingyi had passed through the shadow of danger, and her heart brimmed with both relief and joy. I wonder what fortuitous encounter Qingyi obtained. Yun Wansheng recalled Shenjian True Monarch's words, where he hinted that Chu Qingji's current experience was a blend of catastrophe and opportunity. If she survived this great calamity, there would be an auspicious turn awaiting her. Although he didn't specify what this auspicious turn was, for it to accompany such a dire tribulation, it was bound to be extraordinary. I wonder how that little scoundrel is doing. At this thought, Yun Wansheng's mind shifted to Lu Chongxing, a hint of concern emerging in her heart. Previously, she had instructed Xiaofan to inform her at once if Lu Chongxing returned to Bai Lake Mountain. However, so much time had passed, and there was still no news from Bai Lake Mountain. If that core formation sword cultivator truly is Lu Chongxing, then with Qingyi out of danger, that little scoundrel should also be safe. Thinking back on her previous conjecture, Yun Wansheng let out a faint sigh in her heart. She both hoped that the core formation sword cultivator was Lu Chongxing and deeply feared that he was indeed Lu Chongxing. After all, the thought of the two of them being together out there, jointly escaping danger, gave her an inexplicable sense of foreboding. A premonition she didn't dare to dwell on further. CTH Ovalfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Yun Wansheng took a deep breath, forcibly dismissing the chaotic thoughts in her mind, and sat cross-legged to begin her cultivation. Now that her disciple Chu Qingyi was out of danger, she could finally focus on her training in peace. But no sooner had she settled down than a wave of restlessness surged within her. Imagining that if the core formation sword cultivator was truly Lu Chongxing, and if some bond or emotional entanglement developed between them, how should she handle it? What a mess this is. A moment later, Yun Wansheng opened her beautiful eyes and let out a deep sigh. She felt that ever since encountering Lu Chongxing, the moments her heart was thrown into chaos far outnumbered all those in the past century. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1321. Misty Rain Market. Since this Misty Rain Market is under the protection of Bai Lake Mountain, the Sima family cannot be allowed to act recklessly here. Lu Wangshu stood in a pink and white dress, her black hair flowing gracefully, her beautiful eyes like moonlight glistening. With a cold voice she spoke. Miss Lu, our profound martial ridge has no intention of becoming enemies with Bai Lake Mountain. However, some of our Sima family members went missing in this Misty Rain Market. We came to investigate the matter. Why must Bai Lake Mountain interfere? Isn't that too overbearing? Outside the market, an elder of the Sima family stood with his hands clasped behind his back and spoke in a deep tone. Previously, they had planned to hold the marketplace accountable. However, upon learning that the second market master of Misty Rain Market had married Lu Chongxing as a concubine, they refrained from direct conflict and let the issue drop. But now that Lu Chongxing had perished in the Tianyuan secret realm, the Sima family saw no reason to continue conceding. They sought an opportunity to save face. Otherwise, word would spread, and the world would think the Sima family feared Bai Lake Mountain. Overbearing. Upon hearing this, Lu Wangshu's flawless face, untouched by makeup, was full of disdain. She sneered. At your age, must you resort to such childish lies? Let me make myself clear. If any of you dare take one step into the market today, you will bear the consequences. Her calm and crisp words dripped with unbridled contempt and disregard. Hiss, this talisman fairy is truly domineering. She does have the right to be arrogant. Someone so young has already broken through Foundation Establishment and even killed 5 Foundation Establishment cultivators single-handedly. But that person isn't simple either. He's an elder of the Sima family and a Foundation Establishment late-stage cultivator. No matter how powerful her talisman arrays are, she can't possibly be his match, right? A tree that stands out in the forest is bound to be battered by the wind. Many cultivators in Misty Rain Market witnessed the scene and murmured quietly. Even the two market masters, Yanlan and Yu Fei, exchanged glances, feeling that this young lady from the Lu family was overly arrogant. Both of their cultivation levels surpassed Lu Wangsha's. One was at Foundation Establishment 6th layer, the other at Foundation Establishment 4th layer. Yet, when facing this elder from the Sima family, neither dared to be so disrespectful. Humph, a mere little girl dares to spout such audacious words? I've eaten more salt than you've walked roads. This is something better left for Lu Chongxing or Lu Pingon to say. The elder from the Sima family's face darkened slightly as he spoke. At his age, dignity mattered most to him. Now, to be so openly provoked and looked down upon by such a junior as Lu Wangshu, he could not help but feel anger simmering within him. What's more, Lu Pingon and Ling Zixiao had deprived his Sima family of their nascent soul seed in the past. If he could use this opportunity to cripple Lu Wangshu, not only would it serve as revenge to erase this humiliation, but it would also deal a heart-wrenching blow to Bai Lake Mountain, potentially even leaving it teetering on the brink of collapse. Nonetheless, the elder was cautious, scanning his surroundings to see if Lu Pingon might be hiding in the shadows. If my father or elder brother were here, would you dare to utter such words? You'd have scurried back with your tail between your legs long ago, not daring to show your face. Lu Wangshu sneered as she heard his words, casting a contemptuous gaze at the Sima elder as if regarding a complete fool. Sharp-tongued little girl, since that's the case, let me teach you a lesson on behalf of your father. The elder's face twitched as he spoke in a frosty voice, the growing murderous intent in his eyes directed at Lu Wangshu. Old geezer, the night is dark, and the road is slippery. At your age, don't let your temper get the better of you. Otherwise you might not even know how you'll meet your end. Lu Wangshu crossed her arms, tilted her delicate chin slightly upward, glanced at him askance, and added, hiss, hiss, hiss. Loose cultivators in the market, along with the two market masters, Yanlan and Yu Fei, couldn't help but gasp sharply at those words. Everyone knew this Sima fourth elder was over 100, nearing 200 years old. Yet, here he was being rebuked by a junior like Lu Wangshu, who warned him of the night being dark and the road slippery. It almost felt as if their roles had been reversed. Courting Death. S.E.A. the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The elder's face turned a beet red shade of anger, and he stepped toward the market, ready to kill Lu Wangshu. At 187 years of age, he was a family elder who commanded respect wherever he went. Today, to be pointed at and insulted by a mere slip of a girl was unbearably humiliating. If he didn't teach Lu Wangshu a lesson, he feared he'd forever become a laughingstock. Elder, let it go, let it go. This woman is purposely provoking you, trying to lure you into a formation. Lu Wangshu is skilled in talisman formations, and she might have already set up traps. Younger members of the Sima family, who had accompanied him, hurriedly pulled him back and tried to dissuade him. Just get lost already and stop barking at the gate. You're affecting my family's business. If you don't, Lu Wangshu, ignoring the elder's thunderous expression, continued speaking. Arg! The elder could no longer endure and finally unleashed his magical sword, slashing ferociously at Lu Wangshu. However, just as he charged murderously toward the market gate, Lu Wangshu raised both hands and made a gesture incantation. Boom! 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 Beams of light shot skyward at the market's entrance like thunderclaps. In an instant, a series of intricate talismans appeared in order and ensnared the elder, blasting and suppressing him. Sigh, I warned you about curbing your temper. Why didn't you listen? Lu Wangshu held an array plate in one hand and the 99 Arcane Talisman Codex in the other. Shaking her head lightly, she spoke. Her radiant face was as resplendent as jade, her beauty unparalleled, yet to all who witnessed her, an inexplicable chill ran through their hearts. Isn't this woman a talisman master? How does she also understand formations? Could Lady Lu, Ling Zixiao, also be present? Talisman formations are a subclass of formations. They can be prepared in advance. No, with this technique, she clearly understands formations. She's an array master. Both the talisman path and the formation path are vast and profound. This woman isn't just a talisman master. She's also an array master. The loose cultivators and some observers whispered among themselves in astonishment. No one had imagined that Lu Wangshu would also turn out to be an array master. Her talent was simply astounding. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1322. Lu Wangshu's hand shot out the 99 Xuanzhen talisman, suppressing the Sima family elder within the talisman formation. Then she looked towards the not-so-distant hesitant Sima family juniors and said indifferently, "Return and let the Sima family prepare the spirit stones to come and ransom their people." These Sima family juniors saw this scene, then looked at Yan Lan and Yu Fei beside Lu Wangshu, whose aura was imposing, and finally left, gritting their teeth. This old man should be able to fetch a good price, right? At this moment, Lu Wangshu glanced at the Sima family elder suppressed by her, her beautiful eyes curving in merriment, and she smiled brightly. She knew that previously to ransom Sima Tong, the Sima family had paid out 300,000 spirit stones, a spirit land, and 10 shops. The Sima family elder she now suppressed was worth at least tens of thousands of spirit stones, right? If she relied solely on making talismans for money, how long would it take her to earn so many spirit stones? How would she afford to nurture talisman soldiers? Moreover, using the talisman formation to suppress people and then waiting for their family to come and ransom them was akin to selling her own talismans, was it not? It was just a different method, and the price of the talismans became more valuable. In the crowd, a youth with an unremarkable face but eyes like torches, shining with divine light, whose pupils seemed to glimmer with a pale golden luster, saw this scene. He glanced deeply at Lu Wangshu and then put the egg-sized golden bean back into the spiritual pet bag. Lu Wangshu seemed to notice the youth's gaze and gestured simply towards him. Meanwhile, Jin Kingdom, Black Mist Swamp. The entire swamp was shrouded in a layer of dim, purplish-black mist, like toxic gas and miasma, eerily sinister. As one ventured deeper into the swamp, this purplish-black toxic miasma grew denser, seemingly corroding the vitality of all things at every moment. At this time, deep within the swamp, among a chaotic heap of rocks and a miasm-filled stone forest, a youth with a handsome face, clad in a black wide robe, sat cross-legged amidst the toxic miasma, endless toxic mist coiling around his body. If one looked closely, one would see that this miasma, which corroded his vitality, was instead being absorbed into his body. Boom! It was unclear how much time had passed when the black-robed youth's body surged with vital energy, his robe fluttering, burning with a purple-green flame, making him appear like a burning purple-green sun. Now that the myriad poison true body is formed, the toxic miasma on the perimeter not only poses no harm to me but even provides certain benefits. In such a situation, with my strength, breaking through the encirclement and escaping this swampy mountain range should not be much of a problem. The black-robed youth tilted his head, looking towards the direction of the mountain range, muttering, "Even relying on the poison miasma gourd and netherworld poison fire, I'm confident I can kill them all." Lu Chuanzhen narrowed his long eyes, a chilling light flashing, brimming with killing intent. He had previously been hunted down, escaping all the way to this black mist swamp. Ultimately, he managed to survive in this swamp, relying on the Kuanping devouring heaven demonic technique. As the saying goes, misfortune and blessing are interdependent. While being chased by a group of poison insects, he inadvertently stumbled into a mysterious cave, gaining opportunity and inheritance within. For this reason, his cultivation level directly broke through from the foundation establishment 4th layer to the 5th layer, just a step away from the 5th layer peak. "Let's go." Lu Chuanzhen stood up and reached out his hand towards a boulder nearby. Immediately, a gold-colored worm emitting a fierce and bloodthirsty aura suddenly crawled out from under the stone, landing on his hand and sleeve. Then, his entire being flew in the direction from which he came. 5 Poisons Cult. A magnificent palace. Sister Xiao Chan, I heard that the Heavenly Sword sect in Jiang Country has a second nascent Soul True Lord appearing. The 2 nascent Soul True Lords have been setting traps through the Tianyuan secret realm, almost ambushing the Heavenly Fiend Jinjuan of Liang Country's Heavenly Slaughter sect. Mother going to Jiang Country. Will she be in danger? Nangong Yao Yao knew her mother went to Jiang Country for matters regarding the Tianyuan secret realm, so she had been paying close attention to the news in this regard over the years. A few days ago, she heard of news from Jiang Country, immediately worrying about her mother's safety. Yao Yao, don't worry. I've already checked. The soul lamp of my master is unharmed, which means there is no danger. With pity in her eyes, Meng Xiaochan gently comforted the worried girl by caressing her waterfall-like soft hair, softly assuring, "Now that the matters of the Tianyuan secret realm are over, I believe Master will return soon." Besides worrying about her master's situation, she was also very concerned about Lu Changsheng's situation. After all, she knew her master wasn't just going to Jiang country for the Tianyuan secret realm but also because of Lu Changsheng. Now, with the Tianyuan secret realm's matters concluded and master unharmed, it was certain that she would go to find trouble with Lu Changsheng next. "I hope master will spare Lu Lang for Yao Yao's sake." Meng Xiaochan sighed in her heart, thinking so. Nangong Yao Yao, hearing Meng Xiaochan say her mother's soul lamp was unharmed, showed a sweet smile on her exquisite and beautiful face, nodding in response. Yet, in the depths of her eyes, as dreamy as stars, there remained traces of worry. "Sister Xiaochan, I remember you went to Jiang country's cultivation world with mother on a mission many years ago. I heard it was very dangerous. Can you tell me about it?" At this point, Nangong Yao Yao looked at Meng Xiaochan in front of her, holding her jade arms and blinking her big eyes, speaking somewhat idly. "Carrying out missions. Seat Novel Fire. Net ** website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality." Meng Xiaochan paused upon hearing these words. But still, with a face full of doting, she responded, "All right. Great Dream Marsh, with vast, undulating waters, rippling waves, stretching endlessly. Looking from afar, one could see many fishing boats, bamboo rafts, sampans, black awning boats, spirit boats, and even demon hunting boats on the lake surface. As the saying goes, rely on the mountains to eat from the mountains. Rely on the water to eat from the water. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1323. The Great Dream Marsh is abundant in aquatic resources, not only with many spiritual fish but also numerous demon beasts. Thus, not only do mortals come here to fish, but many loose cultivators and family forces organize teams to hunt demons out at sea. At this moment, Fong Li stood on the black canopy boat, lifting the fishing net she had cast yesterday, her thin face full of disappointment and gloom. "Still no spiritual fish. It's been 3 days since I set out, burned 3 sticks of demon-repelling incense, but haven't gained a single thing. If there's no harvest soon, my mother's illness..." Fong Li tightened her moderately thin clothing and pressed her lips lightly. She was a loose cultivator living on White Whale Island. Originally, her family life wasn't too bad. But half a year ago, her father and brother encountered an accident while fishing at sea, and upon receiving such devastating news, her mother was struck with chi blood turbulence, falling gravely ill. Confronting this situation, she had no choice but to fish at sea to earn spirit stones. However, over the past half-year, fishing only barely maintained their livelihood. Looking at her grievously ill mother, she attempted to venture deeper into the Great Dream Marsh, but after burning 3 sticks of demon-repelling incense, she still hadn't caught any spiritual fish, leaving her heart full of gloom and aching pain. It should be known that a single stick of demon-repelling incense cost 4 lower-grade spirit stones. Even with a discount for purchasing 3 sticks, it still required 10 spirit stones, a massive expense for her. Should I venture a bit deeper? Fong Li gazed out over the boundless, misty and rolling lake surface, pondering silently. But though she thought so, her expression betrayed a touch of fear. After all, the deeper she ventured, the greater the danger. If an accident befell her, then her mother. But looking at the last stick of demon-repelling incense in her arms, she gritted her teeth and began rowing deeper. Otherwise, with no harvest at all this trip, she'd leave empty-handed. After venturing several miles further, she cast her net and fish cage into the water, waiting for the spiritual fish to bite. If I could break through to the 4th level of chi refinement and learn the water avoidance art and water arrow technique, I could dive into the sea for fishing, or even join the monster hunting fleet. Fong Li watched the burning demon repelling incense in front of her, fantasizing about the future. As the sky gradually darkened, she glanced back in the direction of White Whale Island and prepared to pull her net up. Ha! There's a catch! Just as she lifted it, she realized there was something caught in the net. Then, noticing something glittering, she hurriedly strained to pull the net up. In the net, there were not only several spiritual fish but also an object emitting a shimmering crystalline radiance. A blue-green lotus seat. What is this? Could it be a spiritual artifact? Fong Li stared at the lotus seat, shocked and overjoyed. Though she was a cultivator, she had never seen a spiritual artifact before. The only magic artifact she had ever seen was her father's fishing crossbow. But at this moment, she instantly recognized that this lotus seat was far more precious than her father's fishing crossbow. After retrieving the lotus seat from the fishing net, she held the crystalline flowing seat tightly, inspecting it closely, her hands trembling with excitement. It was then that she felt a cooling and profound mystical energy flowing from the lotus seat, causing the bottleneck of her cultivation, which she didn't know how long it would take to break through, to stir faintly at that moment. This! Fong Li was stunned, her mouth agape, staring at the lotus seat in disbelief. Though her understanding of cultivation was limited, she knew that treasures capable of aiding in breaking through were definitely supreme treasures. Is this an illusion? She swallowed hard. Search * the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Then she pinched her arm, felt the pain, and confirmed this was not a hallucination. I actually picked up such a treasure. Fong Li was dazed, overwhelmed by the sudden fortune. In her childhood, she had heard many stories of people picking up treasures and attaining great opportunities. But she never imagined such a thing would happen to her. I must keep this lotus seat a secret. A moment later, Fong Li calmed down and clenched her fists. Not only did she need to use the lotus seat for cultivation and breaking through, but she also understood the adage, an innocent man gets into trouble for possessing a treasure. An item of such value, once its existence were revealed, would invite endless trouble. Even the island master might covet it. Fong Li quickly pulled out her cloth bag and wrapped the lotus seat securely. She then placed the spiritual fish into the fish basket, her heart racing as she rowed toward White Whale Island. Splash, splash, splash. Fong Li noticed that she had ventured too far, and the demon-repelling incense wouldn't last long enough for her to return safely. She murmured repeatedly, praying not to encounter a demon beast. However, worries often manifest into reality. Splash, splash. Suddenly, a burst of water erupted from the lake's surface. A 3-foot-long pitch-black pointed-mouth monster fish shot out, spewing several streams of water arrows from its mouth. Water shield art. Fong Li quickly formed a gesture incantation, conjuring a water shield. But as soon as the water shield emerged, it was corroded and pierced by the water arrows, causing a large hole to appear in her black canopy boat, which began to sink. I'm finished. Fong Li realized that without the boat, she stood no chance against such a demon beast. Save me, treasure, save me. At that moment, she thought of the lotus seat she had obtained. Believing it to be a top-tier treasure surpassing spiritual artifacts, she wondered whether it possessed spiritual awareness and might save her life. Inside the Tianyuan treasure Emperor Lotus, Lu Chongqing felt something and opened his eyes with a hint of surprise. He didn't expect the lotus seat, after floating in this water domain for so long, to finally be picked up by someone. Having someone here isn't bad. Perfect for asking where this place is. Lu Chongqing stirred his intent, radiating slight ripples around him before vanishing completely. Beside him, Chu Qingyi watched this scene with some puzzlement and surprise, uncertain about what Lu Chongqing was doing. I didn't expect that just after obtaining such a fortuitous treasure, I'd die here. Fong Li, staring at the pointed-mouth monster fish before her, held the lotus seat up as a shield, her heart despairing. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1324. However, at this moment, a tall and slender figure dressed in an exquisite black brocade robe suddenly appeared before her eyes. Whoosh! As soon as the figure appeared, the sharp-mouthed monster fish attacking her was sent flying and splashed into the water with a loud plop. Young lady, may I ask where this place is? Lu Chongqing turned his head, looking at Fong Li as he spoke. Is this an immortal? Fong Li stared at Lu Chongqing's face, her mouth slightly agape, completely stunned, her eyes filled with awestruck admiration. In her nearly 20 years of life, she had never seen anyone this breathtakingly beautiful. Like someone walking out of a painting. No, even the people in paintings couldn't compare to this. This must be an immortal. Could it be that the lotus seat she found actually belongs to an immortal? Or was this figure the artifact spirit within the lotus seat? Young lady. Lu Chongqing glanced at her dreamy expression, slightly helpless. He had already restrained as much of his charm as possible, but his radiant and handsome presence still shone like the brightest star in the night sky. Immortal. This is White Whale Island. My name is Fong Li, a loose cultivator living here. Thank you, Immortal, for saving my life. Fong Li snapped back to herself and quickly spoke with excitement, her voice tinged with nervous tremors. White Whale Island? Lu Chongqing frowned slightly, not recognizing this location. He continued asking if this was Jiang country, and whether there were any prominent factions or large islands nearby. Immortal. This is Jiang country. The most powerful faction here is the Great Dream Immortal City. Fong Li hurriedly replied. Great Dream Immortal City. Great Dream Marsh. Upon hearing that he was still in Jiang country, Lu Chongqing let out a breath of relief. If he had broken through the Great Void and ended up in some other cultivation nation, returning home would have been much more troublesome. If it's Great Dream Immortal City, he could arrive there within a month at most if he hurried. Do you know the location of Great Dream Immortal City? Lu Chongqing continued to ask. Fong Li immediately felt a bit embarrassed. If it weren't for the misfortune in her family, she would never have left White Whale Island in her entire life. If that's the case, let's go to White Whale Island. Lu Chongqing decided to obtain a map of the Dream Swamp Sea and also planned to visit Great Dream Immortal City, take care of some matters, and then return home to propose marriage at Qingyun's sect. With a light raise of his palm, the Tianyuan lotus in Fong Li's hands fell into his possession. Seeing this, Fong Li realized that the lotus seat was indeed the property of the man before her. And he wasn't some artifact spirit but likely a foundation-building great cultivator. Senior, please save my mother. My father and brother encountered danger while fishing in the sea, and my mother fell critically ill due to grief and qi blood imbalance. Senior, your divine skills are boundless. Please save her. As long as you save my mother, I am willing to serve you forever as your servant to repay your immense kindness. Fong Li bit her lip, knowing she must seize the opportunity upon meeting such a powerful cultivator. She pleaded earnestly. Our meeting can be considered a stroke of fate, servitude isn't necessary. Lu Chongqing chuckled softly and then stepped forward, placing his palm gently on her head. In an instant, the Six Desires Heart Demon technique was activated, erasing her memories related to the Tianyuan lotus. He then brought Fong Li back to White Whale Island and handed her a storage bag containing spirit stones, elixirs, talismans, puppets, and a cultivation technique. Lu Ancestor had been in a particularly good mood lately. Given their faint connection through fate, he didn't mind offering a small act of help. After all, taking the Tianyuan lotus and simply leaving wouldn't align with the demeanor of a true core immortal. After purchasing a marine map on White Whale Island, Lu Chongqing transformed into a streak of light and sped toward Great Dream Immortal City. This is a gift of fortune. Don't reveal it easily to others, lest you invite calamity. Take care of yourself. Fong Li looked at the storage bag in her hands and its dazzling array of heavenly and earthly treasures. She bit her lip lightly, feeling as though today's experiences were akin to an extraordinary dream. I don't even know this senior's name. Will I ever have the chance to meet him again in this lifetime? She murmured to herself, reminiscing about everything that had just transpired, only to realize she could no longer clearly recall the senior's face. All she remembered was his black brocade robe, his tall and elegant figure, and his incomparably handsome features, like an exiled immortal walking out of a masterpiece. CTH Ovalfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1325. So this is the Great Dream Immortal City? High in the sky, Lu Chongqing looked down at the massive city standing on a small island below. Among the three great immortal cities of Jiang country, Jiuxiao Immortal City, Azure Phoenix Immortal City, he had visited them all. But he had never been to the Great Dream Immortal City before. Compared to the other two immortal cities, the Great Dream Immortal City was neither as prosperous and powerful as Jiuxiao Immortal City, nor as teeming with mixed fortunes and opportunities as Azure Phoenix Immortal City. The sole advantage it had was its stability. In all these years, Lu Chongqing had never heard of any power struggles or demon uprisings occurring in the Great Dream Immortal City. Qing Yi, we're now in the Great Dream Marsh. In planning to visit the Great Dream Immortal City, do you care to join me for a stroll? At this moment, Lu Chongqing thought of Chu Qingyi, who was inside the Tianyuan lotus, and sent her a message. He naturally noticed that since he had saved this fairy Qingyi, her heart and emotions had been in turmoil, unsure of how to face him. This situation hadn't improved over time. In fact, it only worsened after her core formation breakthrough. So, he figured inviting her out for a walk might help her ease her mind. Ah! Seated cross-legged, Chu Qingyi heard his words, and immediately her heart thudded wildly. She was flustered and utterly at a loss for how to respond. Would it seem impolite if she refused him? But if she didn't refuse, wouldn't roaming the immortal city together make things even more unclear and ambiguous between them? Seeing the fairy inside the Tianyuan lotus growing flustered and uneasy, Lu Chongqing sighed helplessly. He then stepped into the cave heaven, approached her, and gently grasped her delicate soft hand. In a serious tone he asked, "Qingyi, what's the matter with you? Are you feeling unwell somewhere? Or did something go wrong during core formation causing discomfort? Do you need help stabilizing your golden core?" Chu Qingyi. Was this man actually considering dual cultivation as a form of healing? Chu Qingyi quickly calmed her chaotic mental spirit, casting her gaze downward. Her voice carried a trace of embarrassed frustration as she said, "I'm fine, Lu Daoist. About the matter from before." But the words she wanted to say caught in her throat and refused to come out. "I know you're still upset with me," Lu Chongqing said, sighing immediately upon seeing her hesitation. "It was wrong of me to decide to save you without your consent, but I simply couldn't stand by and watch you die in front of me. If you're willing, I'll return to Qingyun's sect later and formally ask Kaiyun True Immortal for your hand." Holding Chu Qingyi's soft, exquisite hand, Lu Chongqing spoke sincerely. But when he saw her beautiful eyes cast downward, avoiding his gaze, he grew despondent and added, "However, if you're unwilling, I'll treat this as a dream and ensure no one else ever knows. Once you've recovered, I won't trouble you anymore. For now, just focus on regaining your strength. If you need anything, let me know any time." Lu Changsheng's expression was filled with loss. With a sigh, he reluctantly released Chu Qingyi's delicate hand. I don't." Hearing his words, Chu Qingyi froze, her flawless cheeks betraying a moment of surprise. A wave of guilt and tenderness swelled in her heart. Despite all he had done selflessly to save her, even helping her to form a superior gold core, he acted as though he owed her something. "Really? Qingyi, you're not angry with me?" Lu Changsheng's face, which had been clouded with gloom, instantly lit up with joy. He clasped her silky hand tightly again. Chu Qingyi instinctively tried to pull her hand free from his grasp, but when she failed to do so, she let it be and said softly, "Since we've come to the great dream immortal city, let's have a look around. I've never been here either." "But, Lu Daoist, could you stop calling me Qingyi?" Back in the sect, everyone addressed her as senior or junior sister. The name, Qingyi, was reserved for her master and a few elders. Now hearing Lu Chongqing call her by such an intimate name made her feel an inexplicable sense of discomfort. "All right, in that case, how about I call you senior sister?" Lu Changsheng's gaze softened as he moved a little closer to Chu Qingyi. In truth, calling her Qingyi was simply his way of being a bit more familiar and held no other intentions. On the other hand, addressing her as senior sister seemed to carry a different kind of undertone. Hearing this, Chu Qingyi's heart skipped a beat. Her beautiful eyes filled with a mixture of embarrassment and annoyance, and she felt as though she wanted to disappear into the ground. This man clearly had an unusual relationship with junior sister Xiaofan, yet here she was, entangled in such an unclear situation with him. She tried once again to free her hand from Lu Changsheng's grasp. "Lu Daoist, what about you and Xiaofan?" Chu Qingyi kept her head slightly lowered as she asked softly. Although she already knew the answer, she couldn't help but seek confirmation. "That's correct. Xiaofan and I have already become Dao companions. But, as senior sister knows, Xiaofan cultivates the supreme forgetful love technique. Without overcoming the tribulation of emotions, breaking through to core formation is difficult for her. So we're waiting for her to complete her core formation breakthrough before holding the Dao companion ceremony." Ia the novel. F.ir. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Chongqing spoke with a calm and honest expression. He knew Chu Qingyi already suspected his relationship with Xiaofan, and was merely asking for confirmation. Though he could have lied to her and placated her temporarily, Lu someone, no matter how despicable, couldn't bring himself to do such a thing. Besides, the two women, being senior and junior sisters, would inevitably encounter each other in the future. It was better to disclose everything up front. What Xiaofan and I have, Master has already approved of. In fact, the Sun-Moon Samsara technique was given to us by Master to cultivate together. Lu Chongqing continued. Isn't it remarkable how the Sun-Moon Samsara technique happened to lead me to the inheritance of the Tianyuan true monarch, allowing me to coincidentally use this cultivation technique to save you, senior sister? I heard from Xiaofan that this Sun-Moon Samsara technique was actually obtained by you and Master together in the Tianyuan secret realm. As he spoke, Lu Changsheng's hand gradually moved to rest on Chu Qingjia's fragrant shoulder, his smile warm and genuine. Stop, just call me Qingyi instead. Listening to him repeatedly mention Xiaofan, senior sister, and Master in every other sentence, Chu Qingyi felt entirely at a loss, a surge of unspeakable embarrassment welling up within her. Though his addressing her like this wasn't inappropriate considering his relationship with Xiaofan, she still found it hard to bear. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1326. Right now, their relationship was ambiguous and undefined. She couldn't comprehend how Lu Chongqing managed to talk to her so intimately and nonchalantly. If she found out that her master also had some connection with Lu Chongqing, she'd probably be utterly dumbfounded. All right, I won't say any more. Lu Chongqing held Chu Qingjia's hand as they exited the Tianyuan lotus. You shameless man. Not a single honest word comes out of your mouth. Just then, a cold and alluring voice resounded in Lu Changsheng's mind. Who's speaking? Lu Chongqing paused momentarily, confused. In the next instant, he suddenly remembered Nangong Meili, the woman trapped in the formless treasure wheel. *T. I knew I was forgetting something. Turns out I forgot about this woman. To be fair, Chu Qingjia's situation at the time was urgent beyond measure, leaving no room for distractions. Then one thing led to another, and she slipped from his mind. But wait, wasn't she sealed within the formless domain? How is she speaking? Lu Chongqing activated his divine sense and swiftly understood the situation. The sealing divine light head used on Nangong Meili had somehow become ineffective without his notice. With her mana now accessible, Nangong Meili was using a goo insect to communicate with him telepathically. So this is the art of goo cultivation, huh? Although Lu Chongqing had several heavenly goo insects himself, he wasn't familiar with goo cultivation techniques. But when did she break the seal? Or has she been secretly watching for a while and only now decided to speak up? Lu Chongqing pondered silently. Well, it's just the mother of his child taking a look. That's no big deal. Back then, when he and Nangong Meili, didn't Meng Xiaochan and Ling Zixiao watch the entire time too? Meili, that's unfair. I've been nothing but honest to you. Have I ever deceived you? You're all my wings of support. Right now isn't the best time, but once I'm done with my work, I'll let you out immediately. Lu Chongqing directed his voice toward Nangong Meili inside the formless domain. With Chu Qingyi next to him, it was clearly inconvenient to release Nangong Meili. After all, righteousness and demonic paths are inherently opposed. Someone like Ling Zixiao might not care much about the righteous versus demonic divide. But Chu Qingyi was a devout disciple of the immortal sex, raised from childhood with the values of vanquishing demons and eliminating evil, holding firm to the notion that righteousness and demonic paths cannot coexist. If he were to release a demonic nascent soul immortal now, even if the other person didn't act aggressively, it would still affect how Chu Qingyi perceived him. You shameless man. Inside the formless domain, Nangong Meili's alluring and devilishly beautiful face darkened with frost and hurled another insult. She had already broken part of the seal when Lu Chongqing helped Chu Qingyi form her golden core, and used the mind goo to observe the situation outside. Seeing Lu Chongqing assisting Chu Qingyi in condensing her core, she didn't take any action. After all, during their brief encounters, she'd come to understand that this man only responded to softness, not hardness. Earlier, he had shown mercy to her because of their past relationship and for the sake of their daughter, Nangong Yaoyao. If she caused trouble at such a critical moment, it would only provoke his wrath, and she wouldn't gain anything from it. Moreover, Witnessing Lu Changsheng's formidable strength and seeing him condensing a superior golden core for Chu Qingyi, she was not only astonished but also began to harbor some complex thoughts. Given her current strength, she couldn't overpower him or make him nurture her true elixir anymore. She could only resort to other means. Though the mere thought of such means made Nangong merely feel deeply disdainful. But considering their situation, and the fact that they already had a daughter together, if these means could allow her true elixir to ascend to an immortal golden core, she wasn't entirely against the idea. Additionally, after witnessing Lu Changsheng's talent and power firsthand, the grudge she held from their earlier turbulent encounters seemed to have softened significantly. How shameless! I absolutely cannot let this shameless man get near Yao Yao. And these righteous sect women are just so gullible, easily believing his flowery words and fake sincerity. Nangong merely sneered disdainfully as she watched the way Lu Changsheng was sweet-talking Chu Qingyi. She thought Lu Changsheng was shameless, and this woman utterly brainless. If someone like Chu Qingyi joined her five poisons cult, she'd probably get tricked out of her riches and still count the money for her deceivers. Then again, with this shameless man's handsome appearance and smooth-talking nature, it wasn't all that surprising that this righteous sect woman was fooled. Lu Changsheng didn't continue chatting with Nangong merely inside the formless treasure wheel. As long as she didn't cause trouble for him, there wasn't too much to worry about. After exiting the Tianyuan Lotus with Chu Qingyi, he briefly disguised them both and transformed into two Foundation establishment cultivators, heading toward the Great Dream Immortal City. At the city gate, numerous cultivators bustled to and fro. As soon as the crowd saw Lu Changsheng and Chu Qingyi, they quickly moved aside with expressions of respect and reverence, clearing a path for them. Anywhere you go, Foundation establishment cultivators are still considered prominent figures. It seems that apart from having more aquatic demon beasts or water affinity treasures, this Great Dream Immortal City doesn't differ much from Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Lu Changsheng entered the Immortal City and glanced at the shops on either side, silently musing to himself. He planned to check later if there were any aquatic bloodline spiritual beasts worth acquiring so he could raise some Blackwater Dragon Dao troops back home. Turning to Chu Qingyi, he said, "Qingyi, let's grab some food first." Although cultivators generally abstain from food after Foundation establishment, Lu Changsheng, however, never let himself miss out on the pleasures of food all these years. Now that they'd arrived in Great Dream Immortal City, he wanted to sample the local delicacies. All right. Chu Qingyi, holding Lu Changsheng's hand, was flushed with shyness and discomfort. Sir the Novel Fire, any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Even though they were disguised. Walking down the street like a couple still made her feel uneasy and out of place. Once they reached a restaurant in the inner city, Lu Changsheng ordered some signature dishes. Noticing Chu Qingyi's unease, he sat beside her, gently stroked her cheek, and asked, "Qingyi, are you feeling unwell? If you're not feeling okay, you have to let me know." Lu Changsheng's face was full of concern. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible."